Hey everybody, welcome to the Sunday Sit Down. It is Ryan, Music with Ryan. Welcome back to the channel. I haven't done this in a while. I want to do something a little bit different. Everybody kind of knows us as physical media people. We collect a lot of movies and all that. But one thing we also do collect are other things that are physical media, like music. And I got actually four guests with me, and we got a little surprise coming up of people that also have music interest. You see these people talk about music in their pickup videos. You've seen us pick up music in our pickup videos and stuff like that. So let me get the nerves out, and we'll get started here. Our first guest, we'll go with the Music Martinez show here. We got Mr. Joe. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good yourself. I'm glad to
I'm
be
doing
on
great.
to be talking about music.
Yes, I figured it'd be something a little bit different. We start the new year off a little bit different with some music, some other physical media stuff that everybody enjoys. So let's see who we got next. I believe we got Mr. Wilkie's Movies and Music. I remembered this time. There he is. He's muted.
No, one more time. Woo! I'm pretty
There
much
we
a
go.
professional. Yep. It takes me 3 times to get the mute off, but
How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. You were kind of the inspiration. This, I know we've known each other for what, year and a half, 2 years now,
Yeah,
something like
right
that.
about there. Yeah.
And I hardly ever get to see you talk about music on your channel, even though it's in your name. I was like,
I know.
we haven't done anything music related, so let's throw something together. And that, of course, brought us to our fourth guest and fifth guest. We got a little surprise for you. We got Mr. Tim Talks Music and Warren.
Hey guys,
How you guys doing tonight?
doing very well.
So if people don't know, Tim has a house where he lives at. He also has some roommates. He's got Warren and his wife that live there. And we've all actually have interacted in some ways. I haven't met Joe. Corey hasn't met Joe, but Tim's met Joe and Warren has met Joe. And me and Corey have met Tim and Warren and blah, blah, blah in the past.
We're the connectors.
It's
Yeah.
like the 5 degrees of bacon.
I was ready to say that. It's 6 degrees of Tim.
Or, that's what it was. There you go.
6 degrees of Warren. How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
There you go.
So
This is pretty cool,
I
though.
like-
'Cause music is why we became friends. So
Yeah,
this is pretty cool.
And I always
There you
think that's
go.
really cool too, that you all are like at the same place and have somebody you can talk to about that and geek out, together with it. And I got to wait till a live stream comes up like this and Ryan, puts it
Yeah.
together so I can talk to all y'all.
like I
Same
said-
here. I was really excited because we never really talk about music, and when I heard Ryan was going to do this about music, I was super excited.
I was too. Yep.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, Corey was kind of the inspiration of this. I know he doesn't get to talk about music a lot. I haven't done a live stream in a while. I really wanted to do one. And when he goes, who else did you have in mind? I immediately thought of Joe and Tim because they have done pickup videos. They do a lot of music. I know Tim listens to music all the time. Joe listens to music all the time. You're always constantly posting stuff that you're playing on Instagram and all that. And I figured, what the heck? Let's do it. Tonight, we are going to be going over 10 of our favorite albums of all time. Now, these could have personal reasons your favorite, just sentimental things, you just enjoy it. And I didn't really set out any kind of criteria as to what should be involved, but I think our consensus was an album that is no skips. You listen to it through and through. You don't get tired of it. It's, of course, got to be a band you like. And that was kind of the idea of it. I know myself, I had a little bit of a rough time with this. I had a list in my mind for the last 3 weeks that we've been kind of talking about this. And when I started pulling things tonight, before I knew it, I had like 15 titles. I was like, great. And we're going to have to, kind of tone it down a little bit. Did any of you guys have that problem as well?
Yes,
Yes.
very much so.
Yes. My since you announced that, my list has changed multiple times because there's so many albums that I love, and like I said, when we were talking about honorable mentions, I'm just like, I could have easily made 20 that are beloved albums for me.
Yeah, I feel like my top 5 is pretty locked, and I feel like 6 through 10, I could have just thrown a dartboard at like 40 albums, and that would have been my 6 through 10.
And been happy with it too.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy is like there's so many good ones. I was doing the same thing too. I had a stack of like 30 albums and I'm like, okay, It's 10? 10? That's what we're supposed to do. So we could do this in a couple months and I'll have a different stack of 10. To go through.
I totally agree.
So, of course, we've got a crowd with us tonight. Fortunately, we
everyone.
got Mr. Movie Hunter. How are you
How we
doing
doing,
tonight?
Alex?
How's it going?
We got Jeff, John Doe Juggalo, which John is also somebody else that we've met. If there's one thing I can say, we all met up in Knoxville last March. Was it March?
Yeah.
Well,
around there,
Corey, Tim, and Warren, and Cody, and Jeff, and Johnny, and Bob, and Mizzy. The only thing I regret about that weekend is we never actually got to go to an official record store. I know there was a
Yeah,
couple
that's
in
true.
Knoxville and do some actual music shopping. I know, Tim, me and you in St. Louis, we hit a couple really good record stores, and we didn't get to do that in Knoxville, which I was kind of sad about, but it is what it is.
It helped my wallet out though. So
Yes. We got Steve here, which has changed his name to just Moody because he was getting tired of being the other Steve.
Mhm.
Jane Dolette. Hey, we got Jeff's mom here. How you doing tonight?
Howdy.
Oh, we got the man. Harlan Oates. Hey everyone. Music like in the background of movies. Well, I mean, it could be.
Yeah,
You never know.
you never know.
you never know.
Let's see. We got people saying, who else we got in here?
Scores.
Oh, we got Marie Rabbit,
Oh, hey. there you
Joe's
go.
significant other here in the house.
Yeah.
She's probably right to your left or right, isn't she?
No, she's actually in the living room watching it with my son on TV.
Okay. Oh, we got Damn Dirty Ape on here. Damn Dirty Apes.
I was gonna say one of the
How you doing
greatest
tonight?
YouTube names that I've seen pop up on this, but
Yes. Anthony's Horror Moore's house. What's up, gang? How you doing, Anthony?
Anthony.
How we doing?
Wonder if Allie's going to be anywhere close.
well, if there's one, sometimes there's the other.
I was gonna
We got
say
Mr. Adrian
unless
James.
unless somebody pulls Grease 2 soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. Now, Adrian, if I remember correctly, he is from across the pond, so it's
Yes.
probably a little bit later over there for him. Well, I think they're 5 hours ahead, 6 hours ahead.
6. Well,
Six.
Six.
are you Eastern?
No, I'm central with you. So
Okay, so 6 from us, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rune Mesa. I was told about this live stream by a friend. I've never heard of your channel before. Well, welcome to the channel. I am Ryan from Movies with Ryan, and we got everybody else here. I do have everybody linked down below. And Warren, if you want to follow him on Instagram, it is
Speck of wax. There we
Yeah.
go.
Speck of
There we
Wax.
go.
I had to change that banner for you earlier. Oh, there we go. Let's see. No, I just lost my spot. I am a bad host.
No, everything's going as planned.
Yep. Smooth sailing.
Yep, just roll with it.
Everybody's saying hi to everybody. I may be living on a rock, but I just heard today for the first time "Sound of Silence" by From Destroy. Oh my god! I watched that on
Fantastic.
YouTube the other day.
Yeah.
That dude-
Yes.
That dude's voice.
Yeah, Dave Draymond. I heard that when he first did it, and I've always been a fan of that. I've always been a fan of the Summer and Garfunkel song, so when he did it, it was great.
Yeah, he rocks
Yeah.
that out. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I somehow stumbled upon the rabbit hole of voice helpers. I forget what their actual job is. People that train people in
Vocal
voice and
coach?
singing, all that.
Vocal coach.
Yeah, vocal coach. There we go. Watching his performance when they first did that on, I think the Conan show was like the first
Yeah, it
time
was
he
on
did
Conan.
it, and just watching vocal coaches like watch that for the first time, and they're just they're bawling their eyes out because of how good he is.
well,
There's actually a YouTube channel. I can't remember the name. You would know, right? She's a classically trained singer.
Charismatic voice.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
She breaks everything down, and she's really good.
I've watched her since the beginning.
hey, Xtine.
Yeah.
We got XT and
How we doing,
Fitch here in
XT?
the house too.
Yeah, when he sings that, he just belts it out. It's crazy. Like that's a phenomenal talent. Like when you hear, and I'm sure with a lot of the albums that we're going to be pulling out, there's going to be, whether it's vocals or guitars or drums or bass, whatever, there's going to be some people that are just crazy above the curve.
And I was gonna go ahead. finish.
No, I was just going to say, it's
I-
just crazy the talent that you hear on some of the
I was
stuff.
gonna say, and fun fact about that Conan performance, he had the flu when he sang that.
Did it give him a little more raspy for it? You know?
So, tonight, what we're going to do, it's going to be round table style, like most live streams are. We're just going to go around the horn, say our stuff. When we get to Tim and Warren are going to show theirs off.
We're a duo.
Yes. What you're
Like
probably
Batman and
going to
Robin.
see, what you're probably going to see tonight, a lot of these albums are probably going to reflect a growing up period in our lives, probably, is what I'm going to assume. I don't know anybody's list. We didn't share anything for this. Joe's been trying to guess at what all of our lists are probably for the last week and a half.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. And I said the over under of us having somebody having the same album, somebody's probably only going to be 2. There might
what I
be
think.
2.
There might be a couple.
So, music to me is very much a product of what goes on in my life. It is tied to memories. Like I can tell you the first time I ever heard Korn's Got the Life.
Oh,
Driving down the freeway, I was going out to University of Southern Indiana. I was a pizza man. I was a delivery driver. AM 820, the USI radio station goes, hey, we got this new song from Korn coming up from the new album. And they played it. And I just got blown away. I got back to the shop and the other delivery driver, he was like, you heard it, didn't you? I was like, yes. Like just memories like that really ties you to music. And like Holland said,
Mhm.
soundtracks can tie you to a music or to a movie. So we're going to, like I said, go around the horn. We're going to show off our first album. I didn't really say anything about ranking, and Joe was like, I ranked mine. So then I had to go back and kind of put mine from a 10 to 1. So that's where we're going to start at. We're going to start with Joe, and let's see if I remember how to do this. How the heck do you blow somebody up?
Click on the
You
picture
blow
at the
them
bottom.
up.
Blow him up.
Oh, there they are.
Now,
He's blown
I was
up.
going to say, do you want me to do all of my honorable mentions at once, or are we just doing?
We'll
How do you wanna do
do the 10 to 1 first, and then we'll do the honorable misses last.
At the end? Okay.
Yes.
So the first album I'm going to share, this is an album from 1987. And this is an album that I loved. I used to listen to this back in high school. And it's a fantastic album, non-skipper. I paid a lot of money for this album when I first started collecting vinyl again. But I love this album, and it's Anthrax's Among the Living.
Nice.
Ooh.
I'm a huge fan of Anthrax. I've seen them probably more than any other band because every time I went to a concert, they always opened up or were playing a festival or something. So I've seen them probably over 20 times. And they're a band that there's not an, to me, album. Joey Belladonna years, the early years of Anthrax, there's, to me, none of their albums are bad. But to me, that's a perfect album.
So, one thing, Joe made a comment about something back on our backstage. I am 45 years old. I have a brother that's 10 years older than me and a sister that's 8.5 years older than me. I grew up in the dregs of 80s hair bands having to listen to their music. So the 80s is a tough spot for me, but my sister loved like your Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Rat, Poison, and my brother was like Metallica, Anthrax, Quiet Riot, Iron Maiden, all the loud stuff. So I try to block out the 80s stuff, but Anthrax, that is a great album.
It is fantastic album. I'm a big fan of hair metal, but spoiler, none actually made my list.
That is a good choice. Let's see. Let's see what Mr. I've got a generic list Wilkie has.
Okay, so I'm going to start right off with probably the most generic one because I know, let's just get the grief out of the way with this. But I'm going to go ahead and throw out Led Zeppelin 4. So this is one. I know. I hear the sighs. But
You're good.
I grew just listen to me. It's nostalgia. I grew up in a very rural, conservative area. My cousin from Minneapolis, way bigger city area than I was. He came back one weekend. I was probably only like 11 or 12 years old, and he had a cassette tape. It was this one. And man, he put that thing on, and Black Dog kicked off, and I was like, what is this music? You know, it's like one of those times where I like, how many times did 11 to a 13-year-old think they discovered some band for the first time? And it was like that. I'm like, we got to tell everybody about this. It's like, and everybody probably already knew about this, but I know, but it's just one of those that it really opened my eyes to a lot of music that was outside of what was available to me at that time. And he let me borrow his cassette tape, and I played that thing nonstop. And so I'll say Stairway is not my favorite off of that album. And I know people probably hate it because a lot of these are overplayed quite a bit. But man, it was just one of those that it was one of those moments where you get opened up to a new style of music that you have not ever been exposed to before. And especially in the days before internet, it didn't happen that often because what was played on the radio was decided with the people in that area, what was going to be on the radio. And the radio stations that my parents put on, it was not what was playing this. And when it came on, I'll just say it took me back, and it's one I still can go back to and enjoy, even though it gets overplayed now. But I know there's my generic pick for tonight. Well, maybe some others will be too, but Led Zeppelin 4, it was definitely one that I just remember that moment hanging out with my cousin the first time he put that cassette in. And I was like, what are you playing right now? And hanging out with him. And he was like, dude, if you want to borrow it for a while. And they lived a ways away, so he wouldn't get it back for like a month or so. He let me have that, and I just wore that tape out, I think.
Oh, hopefully we don't have to explain to people what a cassette is.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I have cassettes in my collection. I have the white.
So that's
and the
got
weird.
Stairway to Heaven's the big song on there, but that also had Black Dog
Black
and Misty
Dog.
Mountain Hop.
Yep.
And I think When the Levee Breaks, was that the other big?
Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Or Rock and Roll, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of big ones off of there, and I know it gets played over and over and over again. So I can appreciate some people being done with it. But like we said, when we were doing this listing, some of it is not saying it's the greatest album of all time and everybody's going to love it, but it might just have a really strong emotional tie to it.
Yeah.
And that was one, like, I'll always remember, like, being, 11 or 12 years old, hanging out with my cousin and him putting that cassette in. And then he was like, oh, if you really like it that much, you can keep it for a little bit. And it was just, you didn't get exposed to different music out of your bubble as easily back then, but so in the 80s or whatever. But anyway, there's my generic pick for tonight.
So let's see what not generic pick Tim and Warren have.
All right. You want to show yours first?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kill Switch Engaged.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I
I love that album.
I got
When I
that
first
CD.
heard this song, that when Darkness Falls and stuff, off like Fetty Wap's Jason soundtrack, that's when I first heard of these guys. Even though that was like 2 albums before this one, I mean,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
it's still a good album though.
And
Yeah.
we've seen them live a couple of times now.
Oh, nice.
So-
Fantastic album.
I love this album.
So mine is going to be, I was born in 87. So by the time I was coming into my own more with music, it was the new metal time. So I came into grunge after the fact. And I love Bush. And I did not pick 16 Stone. As much as 16 Stone is amazing, Sea of Memories is an incredible album. There's something about this album, and which is, who the heck would pick this as their favorite of Bush? But this one really connects with me a lot. This was in my CD player for quite a while on repeat. I freaking love this album. So like, if you told me I get one Bush album, I'm actually picking this one, which again, who the hell would pick this one? But I did.
16
That is a
Stone
great
was on
album.
my 16 Stone was on my long list.
Oh, that was
That's
a
a great album,
huge,
though.
that was a huge college
Oh, yeah.
CD. I
Yeah.
wore that CD out in
I
college.
was a huge fan of Bush. When I saw them in concert with Veruca Salt, and they blew me away live.
I got to see them twice in concert, and
Yeah.
they put on a great show. One of them was with No Doubt before they
Nice.
had their
Wow,
little-
nice.
yep.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
that is awesome. 16 Stone was in my mind though, because that album is that, you know, those albums where like half the thing or more is a radio hit. That's what 16
Mhm.
Stone is, like half
Oh,
of it.
gosh.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they have one album that could be their greatest hits album.
Yeah.
And I have one of a band I'll talk about later, but it's like you have one album where you almost could be like, that's your greatest hits album right there. You know?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
Going back to Killswitch Engage, I think the first time I heard them was on a compilation album or a soundtrack as well. And I've always liked Killswitch Engage, but I've never, it's not a band I've ever invested money into to like buy their albums or anything. But I've never heard a bad Killswitch Engage song. So I probably need to actually check them out.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
if you like them, they're pretty consistent. They don't
Yeah.
have dips and valleys too much.
Well, that's good.
it's something that I told Tim and Warren that they're a Massachusetts band. They're from Holyoke, Mass. And before their first album, I actually played drums before I had my motorcycle accident for Killswitch Engage.
Nice.
Before
That's
their
crazy.
first album came out. And when I had my motorcycle accident, I stopped playing, and Adam, that is the guitarist now, actually played drums on the first album. And so
Nice.
that's my little Killswitch Engage little tie-in
All
for
right.
that band.
So
That's still a memory though. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's wild.
Oh, yeah. Still,
we're going to
still
get to
talk
my
them.
generic pick. Probably.
Is it more generic than my pick?
We'll let you
Because I
decide.
knew I figured
We'll
I was gonna
find
get a lot
out.
of grief for that one.
So
We were
obviously
all
I'm wearing
quiet.
a Nirvana shirt.
Oh, okay. Got a hint.
So my very first, I'd owned cassettes, and my brother had gave me some stuff, and I liked some kind of music when I was about 10, 11, or 12. And Nirvana Nevermind came out in 92, I believe.
Yeah.
Might have
think.
been a little before that even, but yeah, right.
Or it may have been 91. I just know the year
91.
that it came out. Okay, so Christmas of 91, I begged my mom for a CD player, and I wanted CDs. That was it. So she went out and bought me it was an Iowa 3-disc turntable CD player, the dual cassettes and all that stuff. And she bought me 2 CDs because at the time CDs were like $30. They still came in the long plastic cases like the cassettes came in.
Yeah, the long
She
box.
bought me Nirvana Nevermind and Pearl Jam 10, which I still have both of those to this day. Nirvana got me out of my brother and sister's music funk, and I kind of took on grunge and alternative music as my music just because of my age, and it was something completely different than the hairband stuff. No, it's not Nirvana Nevermind, but probably my favorite album of theirs is Unplugged
Nice.
in New York. And if you
That is
could say this is kind of a greatest hits thing, but
That is nice.
just them in a quiet setting. The behind the scenes stuff I've watched over the years from like the video and all that, and just the relaxed atmosphere. And like when they're talking, Kurt's like, "Hey, I've got this band coming on." Everybody's like, "Oh, they're bringing Pearl Jam with them and all this." And then the Meat Puppets show
Puppets.
up, and they
Yeah.
do
I
a
had Meat
bunch of
Puppets,
different
yeah.
covers. I love this album, and of
That
course,
album is
shortly
fantastic.
after this is when he offed himself.
Yes.
And this album it's when I want to listen to Nirvana and just not be like, turn the lights out, we're Nirvana, type stuff. There will be singing tonight, by the way. I put that on, and it's just a relaxing, just nice, quiet time. So that's my number 10. Kinda
I
generic.
was gonna say
That's a great album.
I was always a huge fan of Nirvana. I got lucky that I saw them on Black Friday in 1993 at the Wallace Civic Center on the In Utero tour with Mudhoney, and he
Oh.
died I think like 5 months later. So I was so excited that I got to go see them before that happened. But
And I would I'd rank In Utero, like my favorite album of theirs is In Utero, and then
Mhm.
probably Bleach, and then Nevermind. Like I like Bleach and In Utero so much better. Nevermind was just way overproduced, even though it was Butch Vig
yeah,
at the time.
it was Butch Vig.
I like
It was-
Butch Vig,
Yeah,
or no, was it Butch Vig? I think it was. Either way, it was just very commercially overproduced, and I think
Mhm.
that's why it's not my favorite album. But if I wanted just a good quiet time with Nirvana, I put on Unplugged. Jump into the chat real quick.
Nice.
I would say some
look
of
what we
those
got.
some of those unplugged albums are amazing. Like you just get the raw, just like the vocals and the.
I was gonna say when you were talking about Led Zeppelin, I've never been a fan of Led Zeppelin, but I like one Led Zeppelin song, and that's "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You,"
Oh,
because of the Great White Unplugged on MTV. They did a cover of that, and I loved it so much that it made me want to find out who actually sang that song, and I found out it was Led Zeppelin, and it's the only Led Zeppelin song that I actually have on a playlist because of Great White.
There you go.
So Joe's like
That's a great
Zeppelin
song.
gets one.
Yeah, you get one,
Zeppelin
Corey.
Yeah, you get one.
You
You
get
get one
one, be
song,
quiet.
and it's not even on that album.
Exactly. It's not.
So we got Laren in the house. Laren, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Lard.
Movie Hunter, the Big Four concert has great Anthrax footage. Let's see who
Yeah.
else we got going on there. We got a lot of people talking in the comments. Let us know too some of your favorite albums out there. I'll try not to gloss over you. Aren't cassettes hot right now? Yes,
They are getting
Yeah.
better again. Yeah.
And they're saying 2025 CDs are coming back. I saw an article about that.
I can understand CDs, but I don't know about cassettes.
No, they were saying that at the end of this year with Christmas, that a lot of CDs were being sold more than
Yeah.
vinyl.
I can understand that. There's a lot of good quality still on CDs. I mean, they still sound great, and
Yep.
it's having it in your hands, and you can listen to it whether you got an internet connection or not, or if they
Mhm.
decided to take it away or not.
I do like
Steve
though,
Mears
that
in the house.
it's
Oh,
on
go ahead.
vinyl.
Yeah,
Oh, I got a big stack of vinyl here tonight.
I was gonna say mine is all vinyl except for one I don't have on vinyl just because it's a $300 vinyl and I can't find it in the US.
Yeah.
Actually, the same with me. Only one is not vinyl, and it's one that's pre-ordered that will be coming in February. So
So we got Steve in the house. He's wearing his Dropkick Murphys, which I got to see last year, which was fantastic. I was not expecting them to come to my town because my town mainly gets country and old like 60s, 70s, and 80s bands.
nothing
Let's
wrong
see.
with that. Come on.
No,
Hey, from across the pond, we got Muckman Movies. If you don't follow him on Instagram, follow him at Muckman Movies. And good evening, chaps. Guys, do yourself a favor and check out a band from Maskellfield, UK called the Virgin Marys. They're incredible and deserve more recognition.
That name sounds
check 'em
familiar,
out.
but
I've heard
Check
the
'em out.
name.
yeah, the name sounds familiar.
All right. Led Zeppelin.
I got-
Are they American or are they
got
UK
my pen.
band?
Led Zeppelin? Oh, they're
Yeah,
UK.
UK.
Okay. That's how much I listen to them.
Mm,
Wow, I'm
Kyle
bringing out
Daly
the
in the
bangers
house.
right out the start, right?
You're bringing up
That's-
the
wow.
obscure stuff.
Well,
Yeah, the
and again,
obscure-
like my movie watching, like the older stuff, like pre-80s, I don't get into it as much. I've never been one of those classic rock guys. I've always just been alternative music type person. Let's see. Who else we got?
Yeah,
Everybody is
I like everything. I'm just not a fan of Led Zeppelin.
I like
You're
everything
welcome.
besides Led Zeppelin.
I like
Well-
everything except what Corey pulled.
Yeah. Well, I just look at it because Led Zeppelin stole a lot of their music from the blues from back in the day, and a lot of their music.
No, there's a lot of blues rock. Yeah.
They never gave recognition for the stuff that they stole. So because of that, I kind of
I was a young,
Don't like 'em.
impressionable kid, Joe. I'm
Well, on that
sorry.
note, let's see what Joe's next
Yeah,
one
let's
is.
get Joe.
All right. My next one is an album from 1986. I love this band. Another band I've seen many times. Another Big Four band. And this band made James Hetfield a better rhythm guitarist. And Kerry King from Slayer was actually in this band and says that he became a better guitarist because of this guy. And it is Megadeth, Peace Sells.
Mhm.
I love this album. Dave Mustaine, I think, is an unbelievable guitarist. Doesn't get the recognition that he should. Devil's Island, that's on this album, is my favorite song by Megadeth. It has a lot of jazz. It's very jazz induced in it, the way their leads are, because their drummer at the time, Gar, and Chris Poland, that was the guitarist for them, were both originally jazz musicians. So there's a lot of jazz influence in that album, and I think it's a fantastic, fantastic record. And
Metallica stole a
Some-
lot of Dave Mustaine's music stuff when he left too.
Yeah, they're on Kill 'Em All. 3 of the songs that he wrote, "Hit the Lights," "Phantom Lord," and "Four Horsemen," were all Dave Mustaine songs.
Yep.
So
I feel like a guy I work with would love what you're pulling right now.
Yeah.
he talks about like Anthrax and Megadeth and all those bands constantly, like throughout the day.
yeah, trust me, it's gonna start changing. But with and if you notice, they're at the bottom of my list. They're not. It changes as we go up.
What was the big album of? Was it Corrosion? Not Corrosion of Conformity. What was one had Sweating Bullets and?
That's Countdown to Extinction.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that album.
I got to see. I think it was like 2010, 2011. I got to see the 20th anniversary of that when they played the whole album in full, and Dave Mustaine can't sing for a lick now, but it was still good to see them. Because I've only seen them twice. I saw them on that tour, and then when they opened up for Judas Priest on the Painkiller tour with Testament on the Souls of Black tour in 1990. And first time I ever saw Megadeth, and again, they were unbelievable.
Yeah, Rust in Peace is probably mine. That
album is.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have been between any of their first 4 albums are really, really good. After Countdown to Extinction, they kind of, with Euthanasia, they kind of changed, but I wasn't the biggest fan. But
I
anyway,
want to know
who's
who's
on
on
your
your shirt,
shirt?
Joe.
oh, my Lorna Shore shirt.
Oh damn, Lorna Shore.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
heavy. That's
Yeah.
perfect for Corey.
Yeah, I brought Marie to see Lorna Shore last year. We saw Lorna Shore and Currents, and
Currents is
Mar-
Yeah.
yeah,
Currents is really good.
yeah.
All right, let's see what Mr. Generic can bring up on number 2.
Okay, I'm gonna go with some more generic. Maybe a little less generic from the last time, but it will still be some generic. But Sentimental Ties. We were talking about some top albums that mean something to us, and this is one that so born in the 70s. I have a brother that is 6 years older than me, and a cool thing when new albums would come out in the early 80s, I was able to hang out with him and his buddies in high school, and it was just some memories I always loved because it was time I got to spend with my big brother and some of his buddies, and it made me feel pretty cool. But one I remember just cranking up, and one of his buddies letting us have the tape for a little while was Def Leppard Pyromania. Sorry.
Fantastic album.
So this was one that a lot of the feels on this one. My brother, hanging out with him and his buddies. There's so many I could pull, but this was one that I absolutely love, and it's a great album. I still to this day will listen to that, but I always remember hanging out as like a very young kid with, late 12, early teen big brother and his buddies throwing a cassette in. And I still, like I said, I enjoy it all the way around, but having those memories with him hanging out, it's a great one. And funny story with this one. I still remember this day as a little kid being in church, and one day we were open up the hymnal, and I'm like flipping through, and there's a hymn in there that's Rock of Ages, and I'm like, no way, church has Def Leppard, and it's a different Rock of Ages. but I still remember that day, like sitting there and like, no way, they got Def Leppard in the hymnal. But anyway,
that album was a big deal too, because
that's a great one.
For the younger people that don't know, they were in a terrible bus accident, and the drummer almost got killed. He lost his left arm, which is a Bloodhound Gang. The drummer from Def Leppard has no left arm, whatever the music lyric is. But I remember when my brother got that album, and then they started playing "Pour Some Sugar on Me" on MTV because that was the first video they did after the wreck.
It was Hysteria.
I was gonna say it was Hysteria.
1986
was the album, the accident, and the first video from that was Animal. And Pour Some Sugar on Me was the second song that came out. But Animal was the first one. Yeah.
But Pour Some Sugar on Me, I remember because they really focused on the drummer because they were showing his new setup and how he was able to play the drums on there. But I mean, that album was phenomenal. Like, I remember listening to it with my brother. It was great.
Yeah. Hysteria, they actually played it in the round, and they had the drummer on
Yeah.
rotating thing, so you can actually see how he played it.
That's cool.
I saw them live once, and they were awesome. But I'm shocked. I went there to see Def Leppard, and Tesla opened for them.
Oh, I love
Tesla.
Tesla was incredible. I was
gonna say, Tesla is, when it comes to 80s, and I don't consider him hair metal, as we were talking in the other stream. Tesla is one of my favorite 80s bands. I've seen them so many times, and I'm shocked how even to this day they still sound exactly the same.
Great radio controversy. I love that. That was
Addison's
one hanging out with my
Medicine,
brother too.
Everything.
Yep.
They're all
Yep.
great albums. And I'm shocked their stuff hasn't been re-released on vinyl. Their stuff is still expensive. The only thing I have is a Tesla greatest hits on vinyl. It's the only thing I can find.
Yeah.
All their vinyls are over $100.
Well, I'm glad we're all in
Jeez.
agreement though. Tesla Alive is freaking
yeah.
crazy good.
Unbelievable.
What
how
was
good
the?
they are.
I know I'm like way off track what I actually pulled, but what was the acoustic album that they did, like early 90s?
5-man acoustical jam.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and that had signs on it.
Yep,
That's-
signs. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
The cover.
That's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what Warren and Tim have.
All right, go with yours
I'm
first.
gonna go with a band, Nothing More.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Saw
Good
these
band.
guys in 2014 around there, and they just put out a new album, and the new album's like
It's
fantastic.
so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
But
But
Yeah,
I love
the-
these guys.
yeah, I need to see them live still. He's seen them live.
When we seen them live together, when we seen Wage War,
Oh,
they were. But
That's
Wage
how much
War-
they played-
Wage
wait-
War played a good show.
yeah,
so-
Wage War was better. That's why I blanked on that. Holy crap. So you ever go for? Well, we were just talking about Tesla and Def Leppard. We went for Nothing More, and Wage War was better. And I forgot. Yeah, Nothing More was the closer, and Wage War was just better live.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay. All right. So mine. That's crazy. Yeah, that blanked out of my mind. Wow. I have memory of Swiss cheese. But anyways, I love Linkin Park. Linkin Park.
Boo.
Did I hear a boo or a yay?
No, that was a boo.
Yay.
Yay!
wow.
Yay! You had two more yays in here.
But anyways, the time period growing up, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, I was writing the little LP on my, notebooks and stuff for the classwork I wasn't doing. And those albums are incredible. But one of the things I love about Linkin Park is that they changed their style over and over. They aren't one of those we're staying the same over 10 albums type. And I love Minutes to Midnight because it's the transition period. I know this one has a lot of hate from people, but I love that this took this worked for us with the first two albums. We're throwing that out the window. We're doing something different. And then they just kept doing their own thing. And I massively respect. We're just doing what we want. We don't really care. This is our band, our music. I respect the hell out of that. So I love this album. I know people hate it.
That's a great album.
Yes.
I'm going to get into it here in a minute with my next pick, but Linkin Park to me always sounds the same. And I know you said they've changed, and I know they have. I don't like, is it Mike Shinoda?
Yeah.
Mike
He's
Shinoda.
one-
Yeah.
To me, he's not good. And that's why I think I'm
Hot
sorry.
ta-
He
hot
did
ta-
his
hot
solo
Hot
career.
take. Hot take.
He did his solo career. It was bombing. So he's like, let's go ahead and just screw Linkin Park over some more, bring a female in and try to get some more of that Linkin Park money. I'm sorry.
I
don't
like
like Mike
Fort-
Shinoda.
I like Fort Minor, and I like his other solo stuff. And I like
And the Executioners was good. That one album.
Oh
that he
God,
did.
Executioners! Oh my God, yeah, that's a throwback.
It just
Yeah.
what to me, Linkin Park is just like during the summertime, like on any college radio station, because they just play everything repeat because most of the DJs are out.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like every single Linkin Park song, every fifth song, and I just can't. It's just been burned into my mind that I just don't like them.
I mentioned about like generic stuff. If my probably most generic pick is this. It is this. I know this is a generic as hell pick, but
It's not as generic as mine or my first one. No, I'm just kidding.
but I felt like I would have been more generic if I picked Hybrid Theory though. That would have
Yeah.
It's still a good one though, I think.
It's amazing.
personally. But yeah.
It's amazing.
And I guess also Michael Bay's use of their only two songs in the Transformers movie over and over and
Yeah.
over and over. It was like, oh my gosh. So,
Oh man, you're hurting me though. You're hurting me.
I'm sorry.
You
So
know, like the bands, it's okay.
Uh,
Not everybody likes everybody's bands. That's why we all like.
that's why I
Yeah,
said
it's like movies. We all like different things for different reasons.
right. Stop it on the hard splitters.
And none of us like Led Zeppelin 4.
no.
All but one. That's I was just gonna mention that Joe saying like I do like one Led Zeppelin song, but it's not on the album you pulled.
No.
I love it
So-
though, but that's y'all. It strikes us all different, you know.
You like what
Yeah.
you like. So,
Yeah.
building on what I was saying, growing up in the 80s and 90s, MTV, VH1, there wasn't a whole lot of choices in the late 80s, early 90s for music videos. So a lot of times, whenever they would do like a 4 or 6 hour long block of actual music, sometimes if your song was so popular, you'd get at the beginning of the hour, they'd play it towards the end of the hour, and then go into the next hour, be like the second or third song. So you'd see the same video over and over. And I hated this band at first. They had 2 albums out before this album. I absolutely hated them. If I ever seen an ice cream truck with this guy driving it, I would blow it up
No.
because I got tired of seeing it.
Cold Chamber.
But then they came out with this album,
Yep.
Smashing Pumpkins, The Melancholy and the
Pumpkins.
Infinite Sadness. And I fell in love with them. And then I went back and actually bought Gish and Siamese Dream, and I was blown away. To be honest, I really haven't listened to much of their stuff since these albums. But this thing, this is one of my favorite vinyl pieces I have this collection. But this is actually, I don't know if I can. These are my original CDs from back in 90. When did this come out? 95? You can't see it. It's scratched all the heck from the old visor,
Yeah.
CD holder and all that.
All my 90 CDs are just wrecked. Like I would go smack my younger self how I treated them. But
You know, I was hoping you gave me something I could insult Ryan, but that is a great album. So
I mean, you go from Tonight, Jelly Belly, Zero, Here Is No Why, which is good, Bullet, Butterfly Wings. I mean, that's just like the first 5 songs.
yeah.
My favorite thing on here, one of my favorite songs of all time, just because I was born in 79, is 1979.
yeah, okay.
I love that from Billy Corgan. It's just a great song. I was actually watching an interview with him. I know he's kind of like, people don't like him. I don't care for him
Yeah.
that much. He's always
He's
been
an
bitchy
arrogant
about,
ass.
yeah, he's been bitchy about Nirvana and just music, that he should be accredited so much more. But he was talking about Tonight and how he wrote the string section and he orchestrated that whole thing. And it was a huge hit. And nobody was like, give me more of that. Just go ahead and keep making Bullet with Butterfly Wings. And like, I would
Yeah.
like to have seen how he would have went if he did more orchestrated pieces. Maybe, it could have went somewhere different, but he's a little oddball too.
Yeah. I love Gish. Gish is my favorite album by Smash Pumpkins. When that came out, I was a big fan of that album.
And Siamese Dream I like, but I think Gish is better because it's more raw. And
Mhm.
what is mayonnaise is on that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it
On
is.
Siamese Dream.
Yeah.
Let's see. We'll get back here in the comments real quick. I had to start Dust by Screaming Trees is a damn good album, start to finish. I don't hear a lot of people mention that. Screaming Trees are good.
Yep.
Screaming Trees are really good.
Enter my way to some nookie, just how I keep rolling. Hey,
I love Limp Bizkit.
$3 bill, y'all.
People
$3
like to
bill,
hate
y'all,
them,
was
but
on my
man,
long
that
list.
rocks.
Yeah.
It was on my long list.
I was gonna say I love Limp Bizkit. Seen them many, many times.
I
That's
think
nothing.
people jump on the "it's cool to hate them" train.
Yep.
I never jumped on that. I always liked them, and they full on lean into they're not a serious band. They're kind of a joke, and they lean into that. They're fun. It's fun.
But there's so many of
That's
those
why they're on the
songs. As soon
Loserville
as
tour.
it's hard not to like when you hear some of the songs come on, it's hard not to be like, oh,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mustang had throat cancer. It jacked up his voice for a while, but he's good now, so his voice sounds much better.
That was
Yeah.
an interesting. Sorry, not to go off on that, but
Oh, no,
that,
you're fine.
Some kind of monster, wasn't that the documentary type thing?
That's for Metallica, not for
yeah,
Megadeth.
yeah. But didn't Lars go, or they go back and talk to Mustaine?
Yeah, later on, Lars and Dave Mustaine started talking again, and when they did an anniversary show in LA. Dave Mustaine actually came up on stage and actually played Phantom Lord and I think Am I Evil with them. And they did during the Big Four concerts. But
Well, there was just one documentary that they had like just a sit down to talk things out, and I was like, dude,
that was on some kind. That was on some kind of monster.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. But anyway, that's cool to watch.
I have the documentary right there.
If you haven't watched it, it's cool to watch if you're into either one of the bands.
People throwing out some good Goo Goo Dolls. I've always liked the Goo Goo Dolls. They're very radio friendly, always just good songs. The Replacements, that's the bassist from Weezer.
Was it the Replacements? The ones that
that's the Rembrandts.
Oh, okay, sorry. Replacements. What did they sing? Because I know them.
The Replacements are more like an indie college radio kind of band.
Well, it's one of the lead singer is the bassist or the guitarist from Weezer. They only had one hit from their very first.
He's the bassist from Weezer.
I've got Google right in front of me. Dang it!
What is the song though? Because I know them. It's driving me nuts.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't know what any Replacement hits were. I know the band.
Is it the same Replacements I'm thinking of?
I have such a bad memory.
No, hold on. There's the old Replacements, and then there's
the new one.
Yeah, because the old Replacements are from like 1979.
Correct.
Not the movie, which is a good movie.
Bastards of the Young. That's the song I'm thinking of from them. If that's the right one, the Replacements.
Maybe he is talking about the old Replacements.
Eckstein's talking about the old Replacements with Paul Weisenberg.
Yeah, that would be Bastards of the Young, wouldn't it? Sorry, I don't know. From '85.
Yeah, I know them. I've known them from like the early '80s because I remember them being playing on MTV.
Oh, apparently they've been going
on Tim. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, Steve. That's the one.
So they've been around for a while.
On Tim, that's the album I'm thinking of. Is Tim.
Hi.
And that Tim too.
Yeah.
Who else do you say? Husker Du. I've listened to some Husker Du. Soul Asylum. What was the Runaway Train?
Runaway Train.
That was
great.
The big one.
I was gonna say one of the times when I went to Vegas, I actually went to an old casino and they gave me free tickets to see Soul Asylum because they were trying to fill up the venue, and I got free tickets to go see them. So that was like in early 2000s.
Black Gold was another good one from them too.
Yeah, that was a great one. They had some hits.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna have to check them out because that's I could have swore it was the offshoot of the Weezer, but
agreed, Cal.
I guess born in '79. You call my big Corey generic. It's a good song. 1979 is probably I would say Smashing Pumpkins probably my opinion best song. I know it's not, but my opinion is their best song
on that album.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yes.
Let's see. I've only heard of the Replacements because They Might Be Giants. The song High Were the Replacements. Okay. Maybe that's where I've heard of them from because I like They Might Be Giants. Triangle Man. Anyway. Let's go ahead and get into round 3 because we're running. There we go.
We're talking
to let's go, Joe.
All right. This is a band. We're going to go earlier now. This is a band that I love. When it comes to nu metal, I've always said this is, to me, the best nu metal band that has ever came out. I went to go see them on this tour, and it's one of those things that you say, what you said earlier. I never heard of this band. They were opening up for, and I can't remember who the hell it was. I think it was, I don't remember. I really don't remember who they opened up for, but I thought they were so good. I bought the CD at where you buy the shirts and everything, and they actually gave you a backstage pass to meet the band. And it is Mudvayne's.
Oh,
awesome!
Killer choice.
I love this album. To me, when this album came out, and I got the CD at the concert, like I said, I never heard it. They were opening up, and I got to meet them. I got the CD, and this was in my CD player in 2000 for a whole entire year. It never came out.
That sounds like huge.
Yeah.
Hybrid Theory was the one who knocked that CD out of my CD player. But that Mudvayne album,
Go do it.
when it comes to new metal, to me, Mudvayne there's nothing better than Mudvayne. I always loved them. I thought they were great. You know, their music was very complex. You know, had a lot of different time signatures. They were very progressive. I thought they were so good. I've seen them again a lot of times. I've always loved them.
So love the choice. I will say, as I am a weirdo. You're gonna see where I picked not the traditional choices. I love their self-titled album where they
Yes.
basically went on a
Their
hiatus.
fourth album. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that one so much.
2009.
Yeah, 2009. Yeah, that album
Yeah.
is incredible. And I also, since we're on Mudvayne, I don't love Hell Yeah too much.
No,
No.
I was never a fan of them.
Last Hell Yeah album before
It
they
started
came
to
back,
sound
it
more-
sounded more Mudvayne like.
Yeah, but Hell Yeah as a whole, not too much of a fan of it.
No,
I
neither
love
was I.
I love LC50, but their second album that has "Scream with Me" and,
Lost and Found.
yeah, "Lost and Found." That's probably my favorite Mudvayne. That
Yeah.
made my long list too. But I love Dig.
Yeah.
Dig, every time that comes on, I will turn that sucker up and headbang.
My favorite song by them is Nothing Again and -1. And those songs, I can play all day on repeat and never get sick of them. And they're both on LD50. It's like I
One's
said,
awesome.
that thing sat in my CD player and I just left it playing all the time and it just kept on repeating and I loved it. And like I said, to
Sure.
this day, still love that band.
Yeah, Mudvayne is easier band that I always return to them.
I'm glad we
Yeah.
got to see them live too.
Yeah.
With the return.
Yeah, when they just came back,
nice.
you just got to see them live. They were
Nice.
good.
Yeah, the last time I saw them was on, what was it? The New Game when Chad was coming out on stage with an Elmo costume. That was the last time I saw them with Nonpoint and In This Moment.
Dude, you're
Nice.
listing bands I love.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Nonpoint and In This Moment and Mudvayne I saw them in Hartford, Connecticut. And I said, I've
nice.
seen Mudvayne so many times. Just such a great band.
I'm giving you a
live.
high five through the screen, Joe.
That means you guys
All
got to
right.
go to a concert together sometime and report and report
I was gonna
back.
say me
And report back.
and Tim talked about a festival one time, and luckily we didn't go because I was like, man, look at this Blue Ridge lineup, man, it's so good, I want to go. Tim's like, oh yeah, it's really good, and that was the year that whole
Shit
the
show.
whole thing went to
Yeah.
everything went to hell. But I really wanted to go to that Blue Ridge lineup.
All right. Corey, what heavy metal album are you going to show us now?
Led Zeppelin
Come on, I
2.
feel like I'm getting a little shade here. So I'm gonna. This was me closing out the '80s. So this was one that came out. So into my middle school, going into high school, and I thought I was a rebel cranking this up in my room. My parents didn't care for it. Like I said, small town. They were more country, but absolutely love this. To this day, I'll still listen to it. But I have the Cult Sonic Temple.
I love that album.
That is a great album, I think.
Yeah.
So this is
Very
one
nice.
I can still put on and create. And
Especially
what
in the 80s.
what young kid is not going to be like, I want to be the rock star, you know, like holding the axe like that and like throwing the fist up in the air. I mean, come on. So there's a lot of great songs on this album. And
You got me. I haven't listened to that before.
oh, never?
Really?
I know the Cult. I know the
I know the
Cult.
Cult,
I've never
but
listened to
never-
that album.
That's
Okay,
a
but-
great album. That's
Oh,
the one
it's
that has Firewoman on it.
Yes. Yep.
It's really, really good.
Oh gosh,
I
there's
saw-
a lot of great ones on there.
On the second leg of the Metallica and Justice for All tour, they opened up for Metallica, and they were so good. I saw them then on the Electric album. I saw them when they opened for Billy Idol in '86, and so good. They're so good live.
This one's just starts off strong. This I mean, yeah.
have
Sun
to put it
King,
on.
Firewoman, American Horrors, Sweet Soul Sister. There's so many good ones on that one.
Yeah.
but that's it was kind of an interesting time too. Like like rounding out the 80s. I think it was right at the end of the 80s that one came.
Yeah.
out. And so you had your hair bands, and I wouldn't lump them into that, but you kind of had that, and then you were going into early 90s where then you had some of the grunge kind of coming out, and they were kind of something on their own, I almost felt like. And I've still to this day, I'll put that one on. I can listen to that all the way through.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Now I'm gonna have to check out the Cult.
Yeah, and like I said,
Less generic from Corey.
and they're a great live band.
Oh, I wish I would have seen them live, but
Yeah, I've only seen them twice, and it was both as opening acts, but they were so good.
oh, I have a good time with that one. But there you go. Get some of my age. Get some of the 80s bands in there too.
I always forget that you're just a couple of years older than me. Like it's
Like
I feel like you're younger than me for some reason. Well, because you have less gray than I do, and you still have a full head of hair.
Well,
Actually,
just
you all have
give it a
full
little bit
heads
of time. The white will come in.
I was gonna say I'm the old man in the group here.
All right, Corey Warren, Tim and Warren.
All right, good. Yeah,
Since Joe was talking about OD50, I'll go with my favorite Mudvayne album, The End of All Things to Come.
Mhm.
That's my
Oh,
favorite.
That's a great album.
And I remember like in middle school when we had to write like a kind of like a poem thing, so I stole the key of the nothing and wrote that down, and that passed me. So I was able to pass the grade with that song. But,
with their
but
lyrics.
they didn't know that I wrote the lyrics because they didn't know about Mudvayne.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is
That was fun.
that is an incredible album. And for mine, not often is a lead singer that has passed away replaced with someone incredible. I love Alice in Chains' Black Gives Way to Blue.
Oh,
What
that's a great album.
what a return this is. I know, kind of like Bush with 16 Stone, Dirt is kind of Alice in Chains' almost all hits album, but this album, for some reason in the like 2009 to 11 range, I was heavy into grunge. I was listening to a lot of grunge in that. That's kind of where I was heavy into that Bush album. And this is like 09, I think, somewhere in that ballpark. Because, Alice in Chains is returning with, obviously a new singer. It's probably not going to be that good. And it turns out to be an absolutely like 11 out of 10 amazing album that I still return to very often. There is no skips. One of the best possible like replacement singers. Like he is dead on, like so good.
Jerry Cantrell really held that band together and did the right thing when he hired the new lead singer. Like Jerry Cantrell just did amazing with that. We talked a little bit about in our chat, and my favorite album is the Unplugged one. It's so raw. Lane Stanley was high as a kite. Apparently they did like 30 songs for that Unplugged. And only, I think they did 12 or 14 on the actual show. So I would like to see the whole thing, because apparently he bumped up and then went out there and just song after song after song after song. And 90s was hard on a lot of people. We've lost a lot of musicians from the 90s.
Yeah.
Alice in Chains, Soundgarden,
Stone Temple Pilots.
Blind Melon.
Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
what's
I just started thinking, I couldn't think of anybody else. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's like, oh my God, it just got
Drowning
worse.
Pool keeps on going.
Yeah.
so what would you guys go with for Alice in Chains? Probably most people would go with Dirt, probably, which
My favorite album by them is Facelift.
Careful, I might have one coming up sometime later in this.
I
no
love
spoilers, but I may or may not have something that
I've always been a huge fan of Facelift. That's,
Nice.
That and Sap, because my favorite song by them is the song that Jerry Cantrell wrote, and it was Brother. That's on Sap.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good song. All right. As soon as I get done chewing this bottle cap that I'm eating.
This is so much fun. Thanks for putting it. I was going to say again, Ryan, thanks for putting this together. This is fun to just hang out, have a good time, and
Yap
just
music.
talk some music.
So since I don't know who the heck the replacements are, it was the Rentals, the return of the Rentals from Matt Sharp. He was the bassist of Weezer. He took his own way, and the only song that he had that was notable was let's see, where is it? Oh, come on. I just had it in front of me. Great. I can't even find it. Waiting was the song. It had a really cool bass riff to it, and he was like, "I'm waiting." I forget how it went, but it was the only good song on that whole CD. And I think they had a couple albums after that, and it really didn't go anywhere. So, and I think Weezer got a new bassist and then just came back, which I've never been a fan of Weezer. Like, I liked the very first album, which I think was the Green album,
The Blue album,
or the Blue album with Hash Pipe and all that.
They're a hit.
No, that was the later one. Blue
that was the
album
later
like
one.
Sweater Song and
Yeah,
Sweater Song. That's which one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sadism's always
Buddy
on that
Holly.
one.
Yeah.
Somebody summed up Weezer very perfectly. They said it's just a band that has never grown up, and they just keep writing the same things over and over and over, like they've never advanced. So I've just never cared for them. So
Possible
this
hot
next
take
choice,
from
we're
Ryan.
going to start getting a little diversity on my stuff here. 2005. I was working a swing shift job at the time. Like, I'd work 7 days on day shift, off a day, work 7 evening shifts, off 2 days, work 6 midnights, off 2 days, and start all over. And during that time, I watched a lot of Adult Swim. And this album came out, and it was directly influenced by Adult Swim. They actually came and approached these two. They came together. They did an album. I love this thing. It's got a bunch of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which is my favorite stuff from that, the favorite show from there. But that is Danger Doom,
Nice.
which is the mouse in the mask. And this is MF Doom and Danger Mouse, which he's the producer, beats guy, and then, of course, the rapper. And I just love this album. Every time I listen to it, it reminds me of just those early days of being in a comatose, trying to work, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, all that stuff. And it's also what led me into MF Doom. That was the first time I listened to MF Doom. Unbeknownst to me that I had actually heard him earlier on Third Base. If anybody knows who Third Base is, Gas Face. He's Zeb Love when he used to be with his old band before his brother passed away, and he became MF Doom. But yeah, Danger Doom. This is the album that got me into MF Doom, and if KB would be watching right now, he'd be yelling at me because the other album, which should be on here, is in my misses list. So one thing, I do my Fresh Friday Driving Jams. I do my Sunday Spin. I consider my music diverse, even though I know it's not, because I don't listen to country. I'm not listening to the deep throat singing dudes and all that other stuff. But I think I have a good collection between rock and rap and just different genres and that. But this is my favorite.
I have no familiarity besides seeing you posting about them. I've never listened.
I was gonna say I've never listened to MF Doom till he started posting it on his Sunday Spins, and I actually looked into it just to check it out because I'm always looking for new music to check out, and I've checked it out. It's not bad, but it's not nothing that like I can't. It like sticks to me. You know what I mean? It's something that if it's on, I wouldn't skip it.
Yeah. So I'm not like a huge rap person. Like, I like Wu-Tang, I like Czarface, I like a lot of stuff that's not gangster rap and all that. And MF Doom just fits right in that spot. Very quirky. Unfortunately, he did pass away in 2021, I think, or 2020. Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't. Yeah. I was gonna say I don't mind rap. I like earlier rap, like Beastie Boys. I love Public Enemy. Seen them in concert. Yeah. Big fan of theirs. I like the early stuff. Nowadays, not really.
I know I'm going way off here, but I loved some of the crossovers they had in the 90s. So you had Public Enemy and Anthrax.
Anthrax, Bring the
Noise. And that song rocked. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't good before, but that was awesome, that collaboration that they had.
I was going to say, what the time that I saw Public Enemy, it was in Boston. It was young black teenagers, Public Enemy, Primus, Anthrax headlined, and then they finished off with an encore of Bring the Noise.
Oh gosh!
And
that place was probably going crazy at that point.
It was it was nuts.
Yeah,
it was at the Orpheum Theater in Boston.
That was it. Just reminds me of like Run DMC and Aerosmith, but amped up. You had some of those crossovers. It was cool to see some genres maybe that you didn't normally. They would have people crossing over and checking some different things out, and that's cool to have that happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not much of a rap person. But I do love like rap rock and rap metal. For some reason, I love it when it's mixed with
Yeah.
stuff like
So do you like the Judgment Night soundtrack and things like like those were some of those where they
That
had
was
a lot of
good.
that
Well,
going
and
on.
so Joe brought up Executioners before. There's an album from like it's like 2001 or something like that called Loud Rocks. I don't know.
Mhm.
You've probably heard it, Joe, right?
Yeah.
It mixes a bunch of like popular new metal people and popular rappers at the time together, like System of a Down with I think it was with Wu-Tang. Like they
Yeah.
mixed a lot of like
Yep.
popular people too, and it's such a good album. That's the type of like rap.
yeah. I was gonna say, even like he was mentioned on the Judgment Night soundtrack, they did Slayer and Onyx. No, it was Biohazard and Onyx, and Slayer and somebody else. Cause they Onyx and
There's a
Biohazard
lot
did
of
a song
great
called
ones.
Slam
Mhm.
that was on that. That was the biggest one that came on there. But there was they were trying when that happened, or even the Linkin Park Jay-Z collaboration.
That's
That's a fantastic album.
There was even
There's one-
Collision Course.
there was a one and done band, only one album, like 2000 or something like that, called Bionic Jive. That
Yeah.
they were. If anyone that hasn't heard them, they're all the entire album. It's like rap metal.
Yeah, a lot of bands like that. Though. Like,
yeah.
Twisted Method was out.
So I liked Twisted Method, yeah.
a little
But-
bit
Yeah.
of growth in there.
Bionic Jive, I really dug that band, but they came and went so quick.
So we got Acres of Movies here. Hello and thanks. He's got actually a question. Favorite 80s action soundtrack? Cobra, 48 Hours. Thanks. Beverly Hills Cop. I think it's probably one of my favorites.
That's a great one to go with.
Streets of Fire.
Yeah,
Streets
I figured
of,
you'd say that.
Streets of Fire are hard to hold.
I don't have an opinion. I don't know. I can't. That's a hard one to think off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's hard.
I do
Yeah,
love
go
the
Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, we got Caveman Movies and more in the house. Hey, everyone, please hit that button. Don't worry, I won't bring up Wolfgang Van Halen.
Yeah.
Speaking
Damn
of father-son things, the Wallflowers. He does
Wallflowers.
not like being mentioned that he is Bob, Dylan's son.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big one though in the '90s when their debut album came out. That was playing like forever. I still have that
Oh, yeah.
CD. I bought that.
I was
when
gonna
it
say
came out.
him and the Julian Lennon when he came out in the '80s. He was the same thing. He didn't want to be known as John Lennon's son.
Well, good luck with that. It's like
Yeah.
when you have, a parent like that, it's kind of hard not to have any type of connection to them. But
Yeah. I was gonna say, even though we're not talking movies, even like with Nicolas Cage, that he changed his last name because he didn't want to be known as a Coppola.
yeah,
Everything circles back to movies.
do it. We can just
Yeah.
bring it back. We were already
Best
talking about
music video from the
soundtracks. We were
Early
talking about soundtracks.
90s. Man, jeez.
Early 90s.
What's the best? What is it? Oh, best music videos from the early '90s. Early.
I know what I'm going to say. Prison
Silent
Sex.
Lucidity, I thought was
Tool.
kind of cool. Queensryche, I don't know. I don't know why. And then
I-
Inner Sandman by Metallica.
Anything
That was a
Tool.
cool one.
Weird,
No, I would say Wasted Time, Skid Row. Off the Slave to the Grind album.
I used to
I'm
think
pretty sure it's Prison
That
Sex.
came out in
isn't it?
1990. Prison Sex.
No,
that was
which one's
90s.
got the animated guy? Is
That's Prison Sex is,
Yeah.
is it has the anime, and Lateralis has it. They used a couple of claymation ones, but
which actually is
Yeah.
the guitarist that does that because that's what he did at the time. He was in animations. I think he still does it.
yeah, he still does it. Adam.
I'm Stacy, female. Thanks. Well, hi, Stacy. Welcome to the channel. I've never seen your name before. So, Ford Fairlane. She also asked about that. Ford Fairlane was a good movie. It is set in the music industry and had a lot of great
Yeah.
music in it.
With Andrew
That's
Dice Clay.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen that in a long time.
super out of print. So hard to. I can't even find a DVD of that.
Let's see, most popular, most
Thank
others.
you
Nirvana.
to the
Smells Like.
chat.
I liked In Bloom.
Lots of great chat tonight. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's go ahead and get our next round. So let's go with Mr. Joe. What do you got next?
Something that was already pulled. Here comes the first one, and everybody brings up their other albums, but this album I loved. I used to play this all the time. I actually recorded it on VHS, on a VCR tape, and I used to play this all the time when it came out. And it is Nirvana's Unplugged in New York.
Nice.
I love this album. I listen to it all the time. You know, everybody says, you know, how Nirvana, you know, like you said, Nevermind. I remember when Nevermind came out, me and my friends in my 84 Monte Carlo playing the cassette over and over, rewinding Smells Like Teen Spirit, because that's the only song we knew, and the whole car was shaking because everybody was banging into each other, dancing.
Well, we're destined, Joe. I had an 84 Monte Carlo SS.
Yeah, I didn't have the SS. I wasn't fancy enough.
Oh, it wasn't fancy, trust me. It was a eater.
I had an 87 Ford Ranger, and that thing barely had a tape deck in it. So
yeah, I had that 84 Monte Carlo, and I remember playing that cassette. But Nirvana Unplugged, I loved that album just because of how many covers were on it, and just you know, it started shocking. That album was what got me into like a lot of blues stuff because of Where Did You Sleep Last Night with the Lead Belly. I started, you know, going into more blues music, starting to, you know, give that a chance because I really never listened to blues before that. And you know,
I love watching the behind the scenes of that crowd. Completely was duped. Like they thought they were going to hear like everything off Nevermind, and he was like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And like I said, we bring out the Meat Puppets. We're going to do 3 of their songs, which I love, Plateau and Lake of Fire. I guess I only did 2 of them. And then, like you said, the Lead Belly song, and then he did The Man Who Sold the World,
David Bowie.
That's still one of my favorite. I wish I could get a poster. Where Did You Sleep Last Night? At the very end of the song, when he does
with
like the hard scream, and then like they zoom in on him, and I want a poster of just that specific moment. But all right.
It's kind of cool that there's a repeat though, because out of all the albums out there,
that's
two
one
of you guys thought of the same thing.
That is one.
We'll see if there's more. There might be more.
Yeah, because when Ryan said live albums, that was the one that came into my head because I wasn't going to put any live albums till that was mentioned.
Yeah, I was on the fence about live albums because you can kind of consider them greatest hits, but it's not. And I completely avoided greatest hits. So let's see Corey pull out the Nirvana Unplugged.
Nirvana Unplugged. No. So this was a band that I came in contact with younger, and probably some of their other albums that I first heard would be your generic albums that you were along my Led Zeppelin 4 that I pulled earlier. But this one hit a spot for me because it was like one that I hit later on where I thought, okay, these 2 albums I heard, that's all they have. And I didn't know they had something before that sounded different. And when I heard this, it kind of blew me away a little bit, and really enjoyed it. But I'm going to go with Pink Floyd Metal.
Nice.
So that was like one that it was like something different. I was always like The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon. And I didn't know anything before that. When I was really young. And, you know, it's like, and then you hear something else like, what is this? And so I was kind of going between Metal and Animals. Those were both ones that I heard later on that I was like, I did not know that they had that in their history. So that was one that I really dug. And so Metal and Animals, I know I'm saying 2 there, but that I really liked. But it was kind of cool because I was rediscovering the band again for a second time, a different part of their history that was way before when I came into contact. Like I said, Dark Side and The Wall were all I ever knew of Pink Floyd, and it was kind of cool to hit some stuff that was different and to check them out again for the first time.
So I made that Beatles joke, and I think it's the same thing with Pink Floyd. It's the exact same thing you just said. A lot of people just know The Wall, and that's it. They've got an extensive record collection.
Yes.
Yeah. So, discography.
Yep.
Or discography. Yeah.
So Dark Side.
They may have a big record collection too.
Yeah, they might. Mm-hmm. But you know, Dark Side and The Wall were like all I ever knew. But so it was kind of crazy. It was like one of those things. Like I was making the joke before about Led Zeppelin 4, where I heard it for the first time, and I'm like, I got to tell people about this. How do people not know about this? And I'm like, no, we know about it. You just found out about it, Corey. But it was kind of the same thing when I heard Metal for the first time, and then Animals. So I know I'm throwing 2 out there, but Metal was the first one where I was like, it's just so different. To me, it was a different era of their, of the band. And anyway, I still enjoy it. I still will throw it on. Fearless is one I love throwing that song on, from Metal. And so, yeah, it's a sentimental thing to me because it was like rediscovering a band again for the first time and hearing something different from them. And crickets.
Something in the chat.
Crickets.
I appreciate seeing something different though, that pulling
Yeah.
the wall or something.
I was gonna say I'm not a Pink Floyd fan, but
That's all right.
It's a
That's
good call.
okay. That's okay.
Either, but I know just like
Joe with the long hippie hair doesn't like Pink Floyd. What the heck?
No,
And-
I'm not,
It's almost like
I'm
I
not
don't
a
like
Pink Floyd guy.
Floyd's choices.
Yeah, Corey,
He
you
got-
suck, but
I
appreciate
I like that
you.
leopard. I like that leopard.
The yeah, Pyromania was okay.
Yeah, I love Pyromania.
And Ryan, thanks
I
for
have it.
throwing the description down there. Metal, not metal.
Mhm.
It's I probably pronounced it.
It's our
bad,
Midwestern accents.
but- Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sound like metal, but metal.
All right, let's see what these two have.
All right.
All right, I guess I'll go
Pink
with
Floyd, The Wall.
2005 album.
Led Zeppelin 4.
I actually paid like $300 for this record because it came out.
Non-point.
So I ended up buying it for like $300.
Yeah.
So this is a fantastic album. Every song on here is great. Like, there's not
But-
anything I skip on this one.
That's the one with Bullet with the name, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
song.
into the
Yeah.
pig.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Alive and Kicking.
That is
Dog is-
Yeah,
that is
alive
a-
and kicking.
That is a good album. And
Oh.
I'm going to take it back to 2001. I remember going to the mall with my mom. She had to pick up some bullshit at Sears or something, but I wanted a CD. I was only like 14 or something. I had my CD player with me. I picked this up and I was walking through the mall
Flaw.
after listening to this album. I love this. This is like I think probably my first CD where I realized, oh, albums have secret songs, because this does. At the very end, it's like a piano version of Only the Strong. It goes silent for like 30 seconds and then transitions to the secret song. But I love this album. This is probably going to be one of the deeper cuts because Joe, you seem to know who they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
This is a pretty
I
cut.
I was gonna say that I saw them live with Days of the New and
Oh my god,
Non-Point,
that's awesome. Days of News.
and Days of the New and Non-Point, and
Not a point to
think-
everybody.
and I was just like, I was shocked how good that band was. They only had that one hit. I could sing it in my head. It's like dun, 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 dun. And I can't. But it was a song about suicide or something. But I thought they were such a great band. I wish they would have done more.
Yeah, I mean, they are back to touring. We actually just saw them only this past year, and they were
Mhm.
awesome still.
Yeah,
Because you like that album, but I like that Endangered Species album that they put out. This is the second album that they put out. I like that one more than the first, but the first one's fantastic also.
yeah.
I still love that with the secret tracks on some of those where I'd have CDs in the 90s where you'd be like, it'd be in your tape deck or whatever, CD deck, and be like lounging and you're too lazy to get up or anything. You're still laying there and it's just silent for about like 3 minutes. And all of a sudden a different song kicks on and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
You know,
I love
yeah,
it.
free music.
It's almost like a lost art, though. That doesn't
Yeah.
they don't do that type of thing very much anymore.
Yeah. But they
Yeah,
would
you
do
just-
that.
you've
You'd
got
have
it
like a
on.
big long. Oh, sorry.
You have it on. You like walk out of the room or something, and
Mhm.
you're like, "Oh, I got to go put a new CD in." You walk back, it's like still going. It's like at 11 minutes. You're like, "What's going on here?"
And all of a sudden something kicks in.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to mine. This album came out in 2005, but I did not actually learn about this album until like 2008. A friend of mine introduced me to this. I think this may be their second or third album. I'm not totally for sure because this album's the only album of theirs that I like. I know it's kind of weird, but this just hit in a time in my life where like every song on here just makes me feel something. And it also has probably one of my favorite lyrics ever written in a song. And that's Death Cab for Cutie, which I just played this on my
Oh,
Sunday
nice.
spin.
That's a good
play
one.
it.
That's a good one.
I'll follow you into the dark. It's a great song too.
Mhm.
Yes. So Soul Meets Body, Summer Skin, I Will Follow You in the Dark, My Heart is an Empty Room, Someday You'll Be Loved, Crooked Teeth, Brothers on a Hotel Bed. But my song on here is What Sarah Said. I was in the medical field for 15 years. I've talked about this before. What Sarah Said is about a song about coming to the realization that somebody's dying. He talks about being in an ICU room, and watching the peaks on the LCD display descend and all that. But every time I hear it, I almost cry. It's like he goes, and I'm always remembering what Sarah said, that love is watching somebody die. And it hits me every time, because I mean, I've been around a lot of death in my life, just with family and being in the medical field. And I can put this on and just listen to it nonstop. I do own Narrow Stairs, which is the one after this. It's got a couple of songs on there, but all their other discography, I've never really cared for. It's just like this record just hits every time.
That's my favorite album too. I don't like any of the other stuff really. Just I love that one though.
I've heard of the band. I've never heard one song by them.
Well, the lead singer went on to do the Postal Service too, which I don't know if you've heard of them. They've got a couple of good songs too.
But, heard of the band, never heard the music. They always, by the name and just by the tours that they did, they seem like a college kind of alt rock, and that's usually not my jam.
They are. You're not wrong, Joe. So Transatlanticism was 2003. Narrow Stair, or no, hold on. What the heck? Man, I hate Wikipedia sometimes. Something About Airplanes, 1998. Holy crap. We had the facts for voting yes, 2000. The photo album, 2001. Transatlanticism, which was, I think, their big breakthrough album. And then Plans, and then Narrow Stairs. Codes and Keys was like 2011. It had a couple things, and they've got like 3 more albums after that. But yeah, Plans is like the only thing. What was on? Oh, Kath. And then they've got a I Will Possess Your Heart, No, I Will Follow You in Dark was one you said. I Will Possess Your Heart and Kath is on Narrow Stairs, and Grapevine Fires. Maybe I need to actually re-listen to that album. Anyway.
Perfect time.
So that's my pick. Yes. Let's get back to chat real quick. Let's see. Does anybody have the Live to Die and LA soundtrack album? Great selection. Massachusetts Joe. I just watched that movie for the first time last year, and it's got a great soundtrack. I've never actually listened to like the just soundtrack itself.
I haven't. I've seen the movie, but it's been since it came out. I don't own the soundtrack to that.
Yep. So Tim's probably got it behind him. You got that. What's that still book I told you to pick up that's got the rocket in the moon?
Oh my God. A Trip to the Moon. A Trip to the Moon.
So, Tonight, that video to Tonight was they recreated that movie. That's
yeah.
In Heart Shaped Box. I hate Heart Shaped Box. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's again that it just got played so much, like you just don't want to hear it anymore. Let's see, Corey with a banger, and then it's Metal, not Metal. Because I looked it up, I'm like, I'm not finding something called Metal. There's a Metal.
It's my Iowa pronunciation of it. It sounds like
FIFA
metal.
game soundtrack. I don't think any of us. I don't play FIFA. I don't even play video games anymore.
Yeah, I've never played FIFA.
These kids are blowing my mind with all this music from this century.
Yeah, that's me. I've got a newer stuff.
Here's a good question. What was everyone's first enhanced CD with special features on it?
Enhanced CD.
So one I'll say that I remember, it wasn't probably, so I know I'm going off on this one. It's not enhanced CD, probably what they're talking about. But the one thing I really remember was in the early 90s, I went to college and had my first computer, and they finally updated to Windows. The Windows kind of like what we know now. Before it was just like the yellow folders on the desktop, or you'd have to do more like DOS type entries to pull things. Anyway, so it was like, probably, was it Windows 95 or something? like that. Anyway, they had a CD that was with that. It had a couple music videos on it, and one of them, we were talking about them earlier, was Weezer. Buddy Holly, that song was on there, and I remember entering that into my computer and pulling that up and thinking it was pretty cool to see a music video on my computer.
I know I've owned
I'm old.
I know I've owned CDs, but I've done that, but I don't remember what they are. Like, I mean, it's been 20 plus years ago.
I know. I remember the CD. I don't remember I don't remember the name of the album, but I remember in 1990, I went to go see this band because they were playing with a bunch of other people, and I went to a place called Strawberries. If anybody was in the Northeast, and I went and bought the CD, and it was a CD DVD combo, and it was Napalm Death. That was for, that's the only one I remember. It was a CD DVD combo. That was the first one I ever got like that.
I'm not thinking. I don't think I've dealt with any of the enhanced CDs, but it did make me think of the video game Twisted Metal 2, and you could probably do it with some other games, but you put that in a CD player and then you could listen to the actual music that's in the game. They don't tell you that. You just pop it in and you can start listening to Rob Zombie and stuff like that. I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Quick question here. Whose music group would you rather see? Costner's, Bacon's, Siegel's, or Keanu Reeves? I would go Dogstar. I'd like to see Keanu Reeves.
Dogstar. Yeah, same.
Yeah, we got Dogstar signed. I got the vinyl actually back there. I got the signed copy.
Well, there you go.
I actually have the friend that introduced me to the Death Cab for Cutie. She actually made me a mix CD back in the days when you could do mix CDs. And I didn't know Steven Seagal actually had a music career. And she had the CD and she burned a bunch of his songs onto this mixtape. Like, it was a bunch of those sappy songs, and all of a sudden it's like Steven Seagal playing the guitar. I'm like, who the hell is this? And it was Steven Seagal. He's not bad.
What kind of music is it?
It's New Orleans blues, folksy, country type music. It's a lot of guitar and a lot of just like Steven Seagal-ish.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see. My first CD was either my No Doubt. Oh yeah, No Doubt. They did have that may have been the one, Lamb Beeline one, which had a really creepy video on it. I want to say, didn't one of the Tool albums may have been enhanced too.
I think I actually had one that was Sarah McLachlan when she was really early on. So don't make fun of me. Sorry, Tim. Don't laugh at me. I saw you smirking. Stop it.
I was going to say her surfacing.
He's
album,
like, Corey's been kicked off of the stream.
I like Sarah McLachlan. Her surfacing album was enhanced.
Okay, that was probably the one then.
Yeah.
Thank you,
all right,
Joe, for saving me.
I told you. I look all metal, but I love Sarah McLachlan as well. I'm very, very diverse.
There you go.
All right, Joe. Let's go to our next one. No, you're fine.
Okay. We're gonna go
I'm
overseas.
just waiting for that damn.
this one.
I'm just waiting for that damn APSCA video to start playing.
It's the only CD that I'm showing because this album is like $300 and I can't find it to save my life to buy it. But I love this band. I've loved this band since 2005. When the third singer came to this band, I thought she was amazing. And this was one of their biggest festivals that they played. It's a live album. When they played Wacken 2013. And this is Nightwish's Showtime and Storytime. Of Nightwish. They headlined Wacken 2013 with Floor Jensen. That was the singer. They're a Finnish band. They're symphonic metal. So if think of Pirates of the Caribbean with metal, and that's what kind of music they are. So if you like metal that has a lot of symphony and keyboards, like symphonic style, you would like Nightwish. But
I'm quite long.
They're very long.
I don't know them.
Quite long.
You know them, Tim?
Yes, I know him.
Okay. I love Nightwish. I've loved Nightwish since they first started in 2005.
I've heard of them somewhere. Have they toured with Ghost? Because Ghost.
No, they've never toured with Ghost.
I've heard of
them.
They've
been around a long time. You've heard them, Ryan, probably.
I know I have. My friend is huge into like the Finnish Polish, all those bands out of that area. I've probably been down to his house and he's probably been playing their music before because I know I've heard of them.
Yeah, when it comes to that style music, them, Epica, a couple other bands like Amon Amarth are, big into that symphonic stuff, but they've always been my favorite. I've loved Nightwish.
All right.
That's a cool
Corey,
choice.
I'll have to check
Thank
them
you.
out.
You're
I'll
gonna
have to check them out.
bring up Ghost now?
No, it'll be another one I'll probably get grief for from the last one I was bringing up. So I'm putting up the shield. I'm getting ready for it.
Are you bringing up like Creedence next?
No,
Okay.
but this is one that back in high school they came out. I don't know. I fell in love with her voice, and she did some different things with it too when singing. So we'll see if I get any grief for it. But Cranberries.
No, very
Oh
good.
my
Yes.
God, I love
Everybody
the
else is
Cranberries.
doing it, so why can't we? Dolores.
I love the.
Oh my gosh, she
Yes.
has such a voice. Okay, wow, I'm
Dolores
feeling a little
O'Riordan.
better now. I was a little worried.
I saw them in concert and they were so amazing. I saw them in
Oh.
1986 and oh my God,
This
they were
album,
so good.
I like other ones too, but this was the first one, of course, that I came into contact with, and I was so nervous to bring this out because after
That's
the
one's
Sarah
got zombie on
McLachlan
it,
comment.
correct?
What's that?
This one's got zombie on it, correct?
No, this one does
No.
not. This has Dreams and
Dreams and Linger.
Yep, Linger.
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 Such a good
Yes,
song.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. That's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
what other ones?
But yeah,
there's,
Cranberry, cool choice though.
Yeah.
it's- I just love her voice, and I know she probably did some things that I think I've read some interviews or some things where they were like, no, you can't do that. That's
Yeah.
not going to sell. That's not going to go well. And she still went with it. And I love her voice. She can belt it out, and she does some cool things with vocally that within the band. And I still love that album. This one sounds so great on vinyl too. I got to get a different one someday. But this came all jacked up. The sleeve is all crunkled up, but it still sounds great.
And we lost her last year or the year before?
It was just not too long. It was a few years ago.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. I only have the Cranberries' greatest hits, but I was gonna say I used to have that on CD before I gave my CD collection away like an idiot. But
We
to
all
my
been there.
Oh to My Family, that's on that album, is my favorite song by them.
This is great.
I love that song.
She yeah, you just have some of those people that they look so like I said, you look at them and they have such a huge voice that comes out of them that maybe you don't expect it when you first see them, but they have a great powerful voice, and she definitely was one of those. And it was it was sad to lose her, but it definitely it's great that we have the music we can go back and listen to from her.
True.
Hurry while Tim's busy.
Do it, Tim.
All right, sorry. The laptop is starting to die, so he's getting a
charger.
But anyways, I'll go with mine first, and then he could get his. So, the 1994, the most top-selling albums: Nirvana, Unplugged in New York. We had Pink Floyd, Bon Jovi, Green Day, REM, The Cranberries, Celine Dion, and Pearl Jam. And then a band called Korn came out and completely changed the landscape of rock and metal. And everything.
Ready?
Korn is one of my favorites, and Follow the Leader happens to be my overall favorite.
Yes.
These guys invented new metal. Like, music before Korn and music post Korn is totally different when it comes to rock and metal. These guys, they did something special. I love this album though. Time frame of this is me coming home from school and watching TRL. Guys were all over TRL every single week. I love this album. The whole thing is just banger after banger. Of course, like Freak on a Leash is what everyone knows. It's On is amazing. Dead Bodies Everywhere. All in the Family. Super fun song with Fred Durst where they go back and forth. This is an amazing album. I freaking love this one. Honestly, their first 3, 4, no, probably like 4 or 5 albums are
5
bangers.
albums.
Yeah, they're bangers. They are really good.
Life is Peachy was always my favorite by them. I've always been a huge fan of Korn.
Yeah, and then
Which one had Adidas on it?
That's Life is Peachy.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then you've got
I got Pool for My Valentine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, great band.
Nice.
Great band.
I like that cover.
Well,
That cover
well,
is nice.
2000s metal. I used to listen to. It's just what I grew up on.
yeah, we've got
Mhm.
a lot of like 2000s metal and stuff like that. But Bullet, amazing live. They are
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
they are
We've
so
seen
good
them
live.
quite a few times.
Yeah, we have.
That cover
Yeah.
is sweet on that one.
Yeah.
Is Got the Life on Follow the Leader, or is that?
Got the Life is on.
It's on that one.
Yeah,
on Follow the Leader. Yeah.
The whole track list. It's
Yeah,
on Speak on a Leash, Got the Life, Dead Bodies Everywhere, Children of the Corn, which is also a really good one.
Yeah.
BBK, Pretty, All in the Family, Reclaim My Place, Justin, Seed, Camel Toast, and My Gift to You.
Yeah, Got the Life was the first
Yeah.
single on that. Like I said, I still remember exactly where I was at when I first heard that for the first time. That bass that Fieldy is playing on that.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
How can you not crank that one up when it comes on?
Oh, yeah.
It's like one of those.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, turn it to 11. Go.
But-
All right.
I remember that I to this day I always say I actually survived Woodstock '99 seeing Korn, and
Oh,
I'm
nice.
shocked to this day
Nice.
because I went to Woodstock '94 and '99, and like I said, my ex-wife actually went to Woodstock '99 before I met her, and she actually ended up in the Red Cross tent. So I
Oh,
should have known then. I should have never married her if I would have known that story. But she can't hang at a concert. But yeah, I've seen Korn so many times live. They're a great band.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to one of my other picks. Everybody's going to be like, oh, great. He's deviating from metal and rock. So this album, the first time I heard this guy, I actually was downloading a bunch of stuff from LimeWire. If anybody remembers what LimeWire is, it was just
Oh,
a
yeah,
virus
right here.
producer.
Oh, yeah.
The very first song I ever heard of his is on this album. My favorite song of his is on this album. No spoilers, but this may be one of my favorite artists. But that is Aesop Rock, and that is Labor Days. The first song I ever heard was No Regrets. Basically, he's a white rapper. He's out of New York. He is noted as having the largest vocabulary in hip hop. He's cryptic. Like, you've really got to listen to his music, and that's what I like about it, because you can interpret stuff so many different ways. But No Regrets is on here, which is basically about a girl that's growing up living her life and just avoiding people, and then she dies. It's kind of weird, but 9 to 5ers Anthem is on here, which is like my favorite song. It's basically just about the daily grind of being 9 to 5, and that's just not, it's counterproductive to being who you should be. But Aesop Rock, I love all of his discography. This is probably my favorite. The only thing I wish that was on here, he's got an EP called Daylight, and the first song or second song on here is Daylight, but on the EP he also has Nightlight, which if you listen to them back to back, they're polar opposite songs. He takes everything from Daylight and Nightlight and flops it on its head. It's awesome listen. But Aesop Rock, Labor Days, my favorite.
I have no familiarity with that at all.
I don't either.
I was gonna say I know the artist. I've never heard of any of it, but I wrote it down so I could check it out.
Yeah.
I already said I'm going to go back through, and every album I've not heard before this stream, that's going to be my goal by the end of the year. I'm going to listen to every single one that I have not heard before. That's
I'm
mentioned on the
sorry.
stream.
Yeah, no,
You're
Aesop
sorry.
Rock-
I was gonna say I'm sorry ahead of time for some of my picks that are coming.
No, I love hearing something different though. It breaks you out of your little rut sometimes, and you could
So,
find
like,
your next
Aesop
favorite
Rock,
movie. Or music.
he's had a long span of like he started off on Definitive Junks, which was offshoot of another small indie label out of New York. And like, if you might know who Prof is, the professor, like he was on there. And he's done a bunch of stuff. He's been in a couple. He's done Hail Mary Malin with Rob Sonic. He's done stuff for Nike. He does a lot of instrumentals and stuff in his own production and all that. He's done he did like an hour and a half basically, if you're going to go for a run, Nike offered this to like people that bought some Nike product. So when you're running, you could listen to it, and it was just straight music for an hour and a half. He's just done a bunch of different stuff. He's into skateboarding and that too. He does a lot with the skateboarding community. But Aesop, it's just he's unique. He, like I said, he's cryptic. Some of his albums, like some people are like, "What are you listening to?" Because that makes no sense. And then other albums, he makes more sense because he's less cryptic on it. But I like it. Sorry. Actually, on my Fresh Friday Driving Jams, I did one of his songs, Kirby, and I was singing along with it. That's like one of my favorite songs to sing along to. But yeah, Ace is different.
Yeah,
Rob Horowitz.
I gotta check him out.
Yeah, that's new to me.
Let's see, where are we at here? Oh, Nightwish. Yes, he incorporated me into metal.
I got Marie into him.
Corey going to grab a Skid Row album. Man, 18 in Life? Come on.
Okay,
Oh,
I
that
have
was
the
a good
CD. I have the CD just probably sitting over there. I could probably. Go grab it.
I love Skid Row. I'm such a big fan of Skid Row.
We got some Cranberries. Let's see, for this round, aside from me, I select Brooks and Dunn, Hardworking Man album, also Michael Jackson, Dangerous album. Michael Jackson, a lot of good albums.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got a lot of Cranberries fan. That was a good.
All right. I was a little nervous about breaking that one out.
You
but
redeemed yourself
I
with the Cranberries.
totally redeemed myself from the Zeppelin 4.
I like 2 Frente songs plus Frente. I guess I'm not familiar with it, but Saturday
I
Morning
have-
Cartoons.
I have a Frente CD. Yeah, it's man, it's been a while.
Saturday
since I
Morning
listened.
Cartoons Greatest Hits. I own that, and that is a banger of a album because it's a bunch of just bands doing the theme songs for Saturday Morning Cartoons. Let's see.
I'm trying to remember what album I have of theirs. It had like a fish on the front of it or something.
Yep, Bakersfield, California.
Mhm.
See, anyone familiar with Andre Nicotina and his seminal album Daiquiri Factory? I have not heard of
No.
that, but that is interesting.
Never heard of it.
Hey,
We are
going
on.
5. Or no, we're going on to top 5 now.
Yeah, top 5.
Yes.
Yeah, top 5.
We're blazing through them, people. Come on.
Yeah, RZA album, Bobby Digital, way ahead of its time. Yes, so the Bobby Digital stuff
But
from
I'm
RZA,
having
if you don't
fun.
know who RZA is, Wu-Tang Clan.
From Wu-Tang.
Very good stuff.
I'll tell you, that's one of the worst concerts I ever saw. I saw Wu-Tang Clan and Rage Against the Machine. And Wu-Tang had like 26 people on stage with mics, and not that many people should have mics at the same time. It was so bad.
I don't know if you guys do. I watch a lot of the NPR Tiny Desk concerts.
Oh, those are fun.
I do
Yes.
too.
Yep, they're fun.
And they're super intimate. I love it because they have a whole just slew of different people. They had Wu-Tang on there, and they only had like 5 guys on there, and it was awesome. They had ODB's son doing ODB's
Yeah.
part, and they had a couple other guys. And Wu-Tang's just, they're interesting. I mean, it's a group. It originally was 9 dudes. It was something that never been done before, and like they're just very inventive. But we'll go ahead and get moving on to the next one here. Joe, let's see your rap album of the year.
I like I said, if it was like top 20, there would have been rap in here, because I've seen a lot of rap bands, and I'm a big fan of rap bands. But I'm gonna pull a thing out of Tim's page about a different album, and we're gonna go super generic, so I can jump on Corey's boat.
Woohoo.
But when this album came out in 2000, it blew me away. And right after it came out, it never left my CD player in my car. And then I got to see him on the Family Value store that year with Stone Temple Pilots and Static X and Stained. And it was Linkin Park.
Yes.
There you go. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Only time I've ever seen Linkin Park was on that Family Value store, and I regret it to this day that I didn't see them more.
I
That
only
was a good
saw him
album.
once.
I wanted to
Family
go
Dollar
see
Tour was
them
99.
Yeah. I wanted to go see them when they play with, I think it's when you saw them, with 30 Seconds to
30
Mars.
Seconds to Mars.
And I never went to that concert. I was so bummed.
Yeah. I wish I saw them more myself, because I've loved them like the whole time they've been around. And
Same.
yeah, one opportunity.
I have all of their albums, and like I said, I only got to see them on that one concert, and like I said, it was Family Values tour, so it's not like they played a full set, but
Yeah.
I still at least I got to see them once.
Yeah, I
That's
think it
one
was
of those
Family
things-
Values. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, go Ryan.
I was going to say it was Family Values '99 is the album they put out, wasn't it? That had like
That's the one that had Ice Cube, it had Orgy, it had Corn. Yeah. I have
had
that
a bunch
on,
of good stuff on it.
Yeah, I have the CD of it. Of that
I was
one.
just gonna say we were talking about some of the fun collaborations that with the hard rock and the rap together, and Linkin Park felt like that their band was just that, like it was kind of that collaboration just within themselves, and it was kind of a cool mix. And man, they put out so many great songs. That's one I can always go back and listen to.
I loved. You never knew like they had songs that was a good mix between both Chester and Mike. They had songs that was like mostly Mike, songs that were mostly Chester. Like they didn't follow a set structure.
Right. And that's what's cool. That was cool about them. Yeah.
Yeah. And when Linkin Park started, it was Mike Shinoda that was in the band by himself, and they put Chester in. And then right before they got signed to do Hybrid Theory, the record companies told Chester's like, you're the star of this band. You should get rid of Mike Shinoda. And he's like, no, we're together in this, and that's it. And that's one thing about that band. They always stuck together and they always stayed with each other. They never, even though Chester was the bigger draw for that band, he never let an ego get to him.
Yep.
That makes me like them even more. I love hearing stories like that about bands, like,
boo.
Did I do something?
I do own their first album. Was that Hybrid Theory? Was that the first album?
Yeah.
I do own it. Like there's just something about Mike Shinoda. Every time I hear a song by him, he's always doing the same thing. He's doing like the forced scream, like keep it out, keep it in, and like just every song of theirs I hear, I always just hear the same thing from him, and I just don't care for him. I'm sorry.
It's too bad though that like I even loved One More Light, and when you when you listen to like Chester's lyrics, the dude was crying out for so long. Like, oh my god, the song, a lot of songs hit that much different after.
Yeah, because
I'm not going to feel bad when you guys listen to Aesop Rock and go, "This fucking sucks, Ryan. Why did you?" Moving on, Corey. What Linkin Park song do you have? Or
what generic pick can I do for this one? Okay,
you gotta do Meteora.
No. But okay, I got a little reprieve when I threw the Cranberries out. So please take it easy on this one. But this is as a kid growing up. This was an early cassette I had, and I absolutely loved it. And it was one of those that I think it was their debut album, and it's one that could probably be almost their greatest hits. Almost, I still can listen to this day. Whether you call it a guilty pleasure or not, I still have fun listening to it. But The Cars,
oh yeah,
great album from Boston, Massachusetts.
I love The Cars. This was one. So we talk about cover art on movies and music things. This was one that always stuck in my head too. This album art on it. I don't know why, but it always caught my eye. And I still to this day I can still listen to this and like front to back. And like I said, there's only a few other songs from later albums of theirs that I would be like, oh, if you threw that on there, it'd just be the greatest hits, like 2 or 3 others maybe. But the rest of these, just great. But yeah, at the time, late 70s, early 80s, it was kind of new wave type of music.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So make fun of me if you want, but I absolutely I have a good time listening to all their stuff.
I was gonna say
my best. I was gonna say it's got My Best Friend's Girl and Good Times Roll on there. Both those songs, anytime I ever hear them come on, you listen to them.
I was gonna say I have their full discography on vinyl. I'm a big fan, and Marie loves them as well. We're both Cars fans,
so I'm good if Marie's got it on there.
Oh yeah, Rick Ocasek was a great singer.
Oh, it's I have such a good time with it. It's feel good music. That's nostalgia. That's feel good for me. I can throw that on and crank it up and just smile and sit back and listen to it. So
yeah,
that was one of the early videos on MTV too.
Yes.
Or am I thinking
of
Gone
Electric
Crazy? That what's that?
Oh,
one?
Electric Avenue by Eddie Grant. That's Eddie Grant.
That's what I'm. Yeah.
They became big on MTV when Drive came out, and then
That was a
Magic
big one.
when he was
Yep.
walking in the pool.
Yep.
Yes.
That was the
Yeah.
big one.
With his
Yeah.
future wife, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On one of those.
She was. I don't remember which one she
A
was.
model. She was one. Of
Yeah.
That
And
was after
Shark-
this one.
TV was a wild time.
Mhm.
But this has so many good songs on it. There's the only one I don't think that really hit it big was probably like Moving in Stereo. I
Yeah.
still like it, but that was not a big radio hit. But yeah, Good Times Roll, My Best Friend's Girl, Just What I Needed. You know, there's so many good ones on there. But anyway,
Yeah, it's a great album.
All right. Is Tim and Warren going to pull anything from the 70s?
No.
No.
all pretty much 2020, like 2014, somewhere in there. Like, but I'm gonna go with a band called they're called Starset,
nice.
and they
Never
do
heard
Yeah.
like space related theme songs that they kind of like go with. They have like on this one, it's got My Demons and Carnivore on here. Those are fantastic songs on this album. But they have I think 4 albums. They have like a couple of singles out now.
They're a very unique band.
Yeah.
I really like their style a lot.
But there used to be downplay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a deep cut probably for people. 10 years. I don't know what you guys use for music for digital, but I use Apple Music and they do their year in review. My most listened to band of 2024, even though they didn't release a whole lot of new music, I just put these guys on all the time. And I love this album. They've got he has that melodic type of voice. The music's not too heavy. If I'm going to say anything similar, if you like a band like Chevelle, you would probably dig 10 Years. Chevelle and 10 Years have a lot of similarities, and this album is just incredible. I was between this and Feeding the Wolves, but I went with this one. I don't know if any of you guys even know that album, but
no, that's good. That's good stuff right there. I'll agree with that. I have so
gonna
many I
check them
can
out
pull
because
from.
I like Chevelle.
10 years is a great band.
We could just do like
I
a stream
actually-
of like early
was gonna say-
2000s rock, and I could
I
like
was gonna
come up
say,
with 10
I'm
albums
looking
easy.
I'm looking at it right now, and I have 2 different 10-year albums. I have that one, but only on CD. I really enjoy that one.
yeah. I'm happy you guys actually knew what that even was. 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was going to be a deeper cut.
No,
Yeah, I'm going to have to check them out because I like Chevelle. Like,
Oh, you
If they're-
would like them, I think, then.
So we're going to go with mine. They are based out of Austin, Texas, I believe. This band used to be my favorite band for a while, and then the lead singer got clean, and they kind of changed their music. And I know that's not a reason to not like a band whenever they like are positive, but this came out in 2005, 2004. So it is Blue October. It's a live album. It's To
Ooh,
Argue with a Tree.
great band.
And so they had three studio albums before this. This came out right before Foiled, which if anybody knows who Blue October is, they probably know him for Hate Me. But this album is just raw. It sounds so much better than the studio albums because the studio albums to me are just kind of overproduced and they're not in your face like the song should be. And I've watched this concert, I don't know how many times. It's on YouTube for free. Somebody's had it on YouTube for like 15 years now. But this is my second copy of the CD because I burned out the first one, just so scratched to heck. And I love this one. Yeah, Justin Furstenfeld is amazing.
Great band.
I was gonna say, does that one have Whatever Makes You Happy on it?
No, it does not.
That's my favorite song by them. He does there's on YouTube. There's him doing an acoustic guitar one of that, and it's amazing. Oh, and Tim, by the way, just
There you go.
Yeah. So there for a while, when he was trying to get clean, the band was very tumultuous. They lost their guitarist. Like he just quit the band. He couldn't deal with it anymore. His brother is the drummer. He kind of stepped back for a little bit, and Justin started doing an acoustic night, like a open book tour, I think is what it was called, where he was kind of just doing acoustic stuff and he was doing covers and he was doing a lot of their stuff. And they've gotten back together since then, but the music's just not the same. It's still good. It's just not the old Blue October that I liked, I guess.
I feel like they were just in our area, not that long ago.
I don't think they came yet.
Oh, okay.
I think they're gonna
Yeah,
be around here.
they've been touring, and they usually hit the East and West Coast. They don't really come to like the middle. Central. Yeah.
Not to us flyover states.
Yes. Exactly. We'll hit up the chat here real quick. She had a question earlier, and she re-asked it. A better soundtrack, Above the Rim or Menace to Society? I'm going to say Menace to Society.
Menace to Society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Totally
think Joe
agree with
answered this. They call it Rage Against the Klan. That was the name of it, wasn't it?
That was the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a suggestion. Dances with Ghosts is an underrated music group from Jacksonville, Florida. I think I've heard of Dances with Ghosts.
I've never heard of them.
Landfill allowed you to take a monorail route and stop quickly and see how many you want. Would you embark on that? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say yes.
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 Paula Perez.
Oh, in the video. Yeah.
The
cars.
video.
Yeah.
Because didn't they end up getting married for?
They got married, and
for a little bit.
Everybody thought it wasn't going to last because if you looked at what Rick Ocasek looked like, and he had a model wife. She's in the movie Her Alibi.
Yeah.
With Tom Selleck.
Beautiful lady.
And
he was a lot older than her.
Yeah, and she was with him till he died.
Yeah, there was kind of a crazy story with that though too. I think where she was kind of not left with anything. I don't think, but
Jeff up on the Star Set pick. He liked that. And then the last one here for now. An old Wonder Years episode. Paul Pfeiffer and Kevin's mom go to see chamber music. Is that classical music or what exactly is chamber music? I think it's a type of classical music.
It is.
And I think because it was music that was specifically, I came up probably during the medieval times, I'm assuming, where because you got chambermaids and the king's chamber and all that, where they would come in there and they would just play specific music for the king and all that. So I guess you consider it classical music. I don't know what the heck that just was.
Not me.
I have no idea.
I'm going to let you run with that one, Ryan. You explained it really well. I'm going to go with you.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can think of, unless it's it has to do with some sort of type of chamber. So I'm assuming it's something that's kingly or maybe has to do with judges or something like that.
I always thought chamber music had to do with that. There wasn't. I thought there wasn't brass in it. I thought it was more strings,
or maybe
strings and percussion. But I'm not 100%.
Google, in this day and age,
Google, where are you, Google?
It's like
I've got my laptop right in front of me. Chamber music, instrumental music played by a small ensemble with one player to a part. Most important form being a string quartet that was developed in the 18th century.
Yeah, so not your brass. You got your strings.
It's more like pirate music.
There you go.
There we go. Google.
The more
I literally have the internet right in front of me.
You know how many times we do that around our house where I'm like, if only we had some device in our hand that we could ask. And we're sitting there like, what is that?
Marie's all the time yelling at Alexa, asking her questions.
All right, Joe, what do you got for us next?
All right, I'm gonna go with a band. This album changed my life. This album came out in 1984. They're a band from New York City. And when this album came out, like I said, this album literally changed my life. I was going through a rough time and I was just really, really depressed. And this album, to this day, I listen to it a couple of times a year. And I honestly feel their first two albums are amazing. Their whole discography is amazing, but this album, I just keep on saying this album, but it's Life of Agony's River Runs Red. I love this band. I think they're just, like I said, a fantastic band from New York City. I've seen them so many times in concert when they've opened up for Typo Negative and just Hatebreed. I've seen them so many times. A lot of times, saw them one time with Weezer. Funny, but
just they were one of those late '80s metal bands that transitioned to the 90s.
No, they were They were a hardcore band from New York City. They played a lot of CBGB shows. They were
Okay.
really good friends with like Sick of It All and stuff like that. Their first album is kind of like a hardcore feel. By the second album, and the second album was called Ugly, they changed their music and went more of a hard rock. It's very, as I call it, chug chug music. It's very, I would think their second album and on, that's when their hardcore fans kind of left them. But I've loved everything that they've ever done. Their lead singer later on left the band after their fourth album. They had the lead singer of Ugly Kid Joe play with them for a little while. And the lead singer transitioned as a woman for Life of Agony and went as Mia Caputo. And then was like that for 7 years. And he actually just changed back to a man this year in November. That they just did a benefit show for the lead singer of Sick of It All in New York City. They just did a benefit show for the lead singer of Sick of It All, Lou, that has cancer in New York City. So he just came back as a regular guy on stage. But fantastic band from the 90s. Like I said, I can't say enough about them.
I'm gonna have to check them out.
They're really,
I think
really
I've
good.
heard of them before.
I would say, like I said, check out their second album, Ugly, or their third album, Soul Searching Sun, that has Weeds on it. That was like their biggest radio hit. If you've ever heard, if anybody's heard of Life of Agony, it would be the song Weeds. That was one that actually made it on the radio.
I don't know what word you just said in one of your sentences. It made just realize that I didn't grab another album that may have gotten in my top 10. I just now thought of it.
We'll do this video again in like 2 months, and we'll all have different albums that we'll pull up. It's like
There we go.
that's how it usually goes, or for me anyway, because it's
Corey's going to go and Google most obscure hard bands, and then just come back with them all. We're going to be like,
what are the top 10 albums I can name that would make me sound cool on a live stream on YouTube?
No Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, no, leave Zeppelin 4 out of the mix. But okay,
so
that's
let's
me?
go. Yeah, let's go.
Okay,
Let's go with the next
okay.
one.
Since we're talking about making fun of me, I'm going to go with another generic one, actually, so you can make fun of me. But this is one that I absolutely loved when it came out when I was in high school, and I don't care if it's generic or not. But Siamese Dream,
God,
Pumpkins.
Great album.
Nice.
I still love this one. I can listen to this all day long. So I know it could be more your generic, but it's still one I love. I remember a buddy of mine talking about Smashing Pumpkins, and for whatever reason, I can remember making fun of like their name. I'm like, oh, Smashing Pumpkins. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh God,
the Smashing Pumpkins.
yeah, no, they became the Smashing Pumpkins after I started listening to them. But no, it's a great album. I can just listen to that. And I know Gish was brought up earlier too. I love that too, but Siamese Dream was my introduction to them and what got me kind of hooked into them. And I
actually bought my vinyl from you when we were down in Knoxville.
Yes.
Well, I went back and listened to that.
2 people on this stream bought, I think, Pumpkins from me.
No, I went back and I've listened to that album since Melancholy Infinite Sadness. Today is still just a song that doesn't sit with me just because that video was played to oblivion on MTV. But the rest of that album is just amazing.
Of which one?
Siamese Dream.
Okay.
Yeah. Today is I can't stand that video. Him and the damn ice cream truck and the ice cream suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's always some that get overplayed and things, but that's one I can go back to that album and yeah, I can still Melancholy still I can go back to that one too, really. But I think just my connection with Siamese Dream was just that was my first introduction to him. That's how I learned about him. And sometimes if you end up liking the band better for worse or whatever songs get overplayed or not, when you have that first album that you can kind of remember that connection where you learned about them. And that definitely was that one for me.
All right. Let's see what Mr. Tim and Warren have.
Less generic than Corey. Come on.
I'm going to go with the band called Sorensen. They're
Oh,
I don't know them.
I know them.
Voices, but this is the fantastic. This just got a repress, so this is the repress I just bought. The other album goes for like 300, so I was like, I waited for a little bit, and it finally got a repress, so I picked that up.
Nice.
But this is a fantastic album.
I've actually heard of them.
You actually heard of them.
They're a great band.
I imagine you heard of My Choice. How much you like them, I don't know. But I'm going with the band Cold, specifically a different
So
Nice.
that this album. So lyrics are a big thing for me. It's a reason why like a band like Nickelback, a good chunk of it is kind of ass because lyrically they are kind of ass for a good chunk. The lyrics in this Cold album are beautiful, and it's one of those like I could put it on and just chill to. It's like a very mellow album. I freaking love this one so much.
I'm not taking away from that one. I love them. I love that album too. But Spider of the Year, I absolutely
I was gonna
love.
say you're the
You're the Spider. Did I say that completely
Yeah.
wrong? Sorry.
And-
I'm good at saying names wrong. And you can make fun of me.
my favorites, because I was a drummer, the song Suffocate. The drums on
That's-
Suffocate,
that's a great
especially
song.
when it comes in, just like Non-Points, The Truth, the drum parts in those two songs just get me all hyped up. The Truth by Non-Point and Suffocate by Cold are like, I love the drums in those. They're just so good.
I think though, like a good chunk of Cold around that album is a little heavier. Not that they're like a really heavy band, but that a different kind of pain is just a mellow album the
Yeah.
whole way. And
Actually, I just saw them live, and he explained like that "When Angels Fly Away" song is about like a soldier that was going home and stuff like that. So it's a good song. It's like a lot of good songs on an album.
Yeah, it's really good.
yeah, I lyrically I love them though.
One
Yeah.
of the favorite experiences I had at a concert was for like 4 buddies that I worked with, and we went. It was Cold, Hurt, Disturbed, and Godsmack, and it was like one of those. I had no idea who Cold and Hurt was at the time, but ended up
Yeah.
loving them. And I went over to their stands before we left there and bought CDs when I went home. And,
Gee, who is this Hurt band you're talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Rune Mesa, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Just want to say bye. I'm gonna have to check out Cold. I know I've heard. I'm pretty sure I've heard some of their songs, but I
Oh,
just
they
I
got
don't
some
think I've
good stuff.
realized I've heard them. So
Good
I'm gonna have to
stuff.
check them out. So
I shouldn't have these guys.
we'll go to mine. So back in the MTV days, if anybody remembers, they gave away prizes for bands to show up at people's houses and have backyard concerts.
Mhm.
This
I remember that.
band actually was one of them that played just like 45 minutes north of me in Terre Haute, Indiana. I think it was or was it Vincennes? It was Vincennes, Indiana. There's actually concert footage of it, of them in this little tiny backyard playing. This album, I think, was one of the very first CDs I ever played in my very first car CD player. And I love this album. I love their first album too. But this album, nonstop, all the way through it, it's got some of my favorite songs of all time. And that is White Zombie, Astro Creep 2000. Supercharger Heaven is probably one of my favorite songs of all time. But I mean, just from the front to the back of this, it's hard go, methed out Rob Zombie. And I love this album. Like, it is just one of my favorites. I love Los Sexorcisto, but this just a banger from top to bottom. It is just by far my favorite. And I've listened to this thing out of 9 million times. Still got my original CD. God, I wish I could show these off. It is just
Trash.
Oh, you
trashed. Yeah,
you'd
there
shake
we
your
go.
head at my CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have one I'm showing later that don't judge the case or anything about it.
I was gonna say
But you know
I've
one
always
thing?
been a huge fan of them.
It still plays.
Yeah. It was
So-
Yeah.
it was loved. It was
I
I was
used.
gonna say
Go
Rob
ahead.
Zombie from Methuen, Mass. He actually lived right next to Bull Moose.
Nice.
So I have not seen in concert as White Zombie, but I have seen Rob Zombie, and holy crap, that's a show. Like that is a show. The dude puts on like when Sick Bubblegum like threw out a whole bunch of balloons, like pink balloons and stuff like that in the crowd. really cool crowd engagement, sounded great.
I was gonna say you're lucky you didn't see him as White Zombie. I've never seen Rob Zombie as Rob Zombie. I saw him when he was in White Zombie. He played with Danzig, and back then
He couldn't sing
was
a full verse. He couldn't
no,
sing a
he
full
was
verse.
always out of breath, because he's so animated on stage. He was always out of breath. Just like I remember seeing Jonathan Davis from Korn on Got the Life, and I saw him on the side of the stage with oxygen because of how much he does it. But Rob Zombie should have took that as a clue to use oxygen, but he couldn't sing because he wasn't doing cardio back then. But I wish I would have saw him later on, but back then he couldn't.
I don't remember the bassist at the time, what her name was, but she wrote a book, a biography about mainly about the time she was with White Zombie. And it's a great read. Like she goes in depth about just the debauchery and why the shows were just horrible. Because I mean, he was just amped up the whole time, running around. Like a lot of people didn't want to book him just because he put on a horrible show.
Yeah, but by the second song, he was already out of breath. It was horrible.
Well, I can endorse him as Rob Zombie, though, that he puts on a good show.
There you go.
Well, I think he grew up. He learned. That's for
Yeah.
sure. And I will still say Rob Zombie's Halloweens are my favorite Halloween.
Oh, damn.
Wow. Hot take. I was going to say, there's a hot take coming out. Steve, I was going to say earlier, he was talking about the Stones. I'll listen to a lot of Rolling Stones. There's a lot of good stuff there.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Paradise.
That's all right. Yeah.
All right, Joe. We're down to our top three here, aren't we? Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
2 hours and 11 minutes in.
I know. I figured this was going to take a minute. I really did.
Okay.
What's cracking your top three here, Joe?
Okay. We're going with a big box for my number 3. I saw this band first time. I knew about this band. I kind of listened to them, but when I went to go see Ozzy on the Ultimate Sin Tour in 1986, they opened up for him, and they blew me away. That I became a huge fan of them. Then I saw them on their next album in 1988, and I saw them in 89 with Queensryche opening up and The Cult. And it is Metallica's And Justice for All.
Nice.
That is a hellacious fucking box set. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is a mammoth box set.
Take it in.
But I love that album. To me, most people say Master of Puppets is their best album or the Black Album. I'm not a fan of the Black Album. To me, Metallica only had 4 good albums, their first 4. But that by far is my favorite album by them. Yeah. Like I said, I've seen them many times in concert, but to me, that was the first time I ever saw them without my grandmother going. I went with just my friends from high school, and I saw them both times. And when I saw them when they opened up, it was Queensryche on the Operation Mindcrime tour. They were opening up, and with Queensryche and then them, my neck the next day hurt from headbanging so much, and I completely lost my voice for 3 days because I couldn't stop singing that whole concert. It was just so good.
I still remember
one of my fondest memories.
I was gonna say I never had cable TV like growing up. We were out in the country, and it was before it was really available. And I'd go in once in a while to stay with my cousin that lived in a bigger city. And I still remember the day that I saw One on MTV, and that was like one of those music videos that I was like gave me goosebumps, and I still can watch that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hard to agree. And Justice for All is my favorite Metallica. I'm not a huge Metallica fan, but my brother introduced me to them, and Justice for All is just, my hands down favorite. But and like you, Corey, the video for One was insane. And then finding out that it was actually he wrote the song based on the book about the soldier had been hit by a landmine and was basically living in his own body is just crazy.
Yeah. Blackened was always my favorite song by them, and like I said, that's what opens up that album, and it's just a fantastic. Like I said, to me, it's a non-skipper, great album. Even the instrumental on it is great. To Live Is to Die, but just a fantastic album all the way through.
All right.
Yeah, my
Corey,
favorite.
what's your favorite Metallica album? Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I said my favorite would be just the live S&M album.
No,
Oh,
that-
that's a
that
great
one
one.
is
I
really
have the
good.
DVD
Yeah.
set of that. I still would I'll put that on and just listen in the background. Even that's a great one.
Yeah, that's a great
I
one.
need to get the vinyl set of that. But.
Yeah.
All right, Corey.
All
What you
right,
got?
more generic. We'll go for that. We're gonna go with this. I know it's technically a EP, so it's not a full album, but it's one that I absolutely love when it came out, and I'll play it over and over again. The CD I tore apart and finally got repress on the vinyl. But we got Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies,
Great album.
Nice.
and
Great choice.
I can listen to this one all day long, every day. It's
That's about that too.
so whether that counts. It's I know like an EP, but and I can be
Yeah.
more generic with that one. But it there's some great songs on there. I can listen to that one front to back, no problem.
That's a great one. I really wish they would when they repressed that, because I remember Tim bought it at Walmart and I got it right at like the same week I pre-ordered it, and I remember you got it. But I wish they would have done the split press like the last one with Sap on it,
Yeah,
because I still have Sap on the CD. I still want to buy that split just to get Sap on vinyl, but I wish that like I said, Jar of Flies is so good.
yeah. I was happy when they came back out with that one. That was like one of those crazy. You have some of those older vinyl. 90s vinyls that were just going for crazy money, and I'm like, I'm just never ever gonna spend that much money. And when they finally get a repress of it, it was pretty cool. And so I was like, I ran out that day. I'm like, do you have it in? They're like, yeah. Calm down. And I'm like, and I grabbed it away. But that's a CD that I still have the CD, but it's looks like it's just been through everything. I mean, it's all scratched up and crazy, but I had that in my car so many times, and I take care of things a lot differently than I did then. And CDs back in that day, I was just, you were throwing them around your car all the time, picking them up off the floor. And
The gigantic binder of like
yeah, I had the
96 and all
binder
that.
thing, and I think some of those helped with the scratches on the CDs too. But yeah, it was definitely one that, heck, I might even put that on tonight and listen to it after we're done with this. But it's so good.
Yeah.
Man.
All
His
right.
vocals. Sorry,
No, you're fine. No,
he's
I
nuts.
don't think there's a bad Alice in Chains album. I really
No.
don't think there is. I think everybody can pick a different album and like it and not dismiss the other albums too. Like everybody has their favorite, but all their albums are just really good. And it's sad that we lost Lane Stanley. Like they would still be around making great music. I mean, they are, but I mean, with Lane Stanley, I think it would be even better.
Mhm.
So let's see. Do we have another Alice in Chains album coming? Do we get unplugged?
You guys talked about it, and it was on my list, but I got the Cold Year of the Spider album.
There you go. That's so
There you
good.
go.
So
I
good.
didn't want to
That's
step on Tim's toes with the other one, so I waited for the next
No,
one. Well, this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
that's my favorite from them.
I
Yeah,
think
me
this
too.
is like most people's favorite. That's
Yeah.
why it was me going with different kind of pain is a little different.
Yeah.
Most people would pick this
Yeah.
one, honestly.
Mhm.
But both are great though.
Yeah.
All right. So for mine, I used to be big into skateboarding as a 12, 13, 14, 15 area. And CKY is a huge part of that skate culture. And I listened to the hell out of this band, and I still do. But specifically, we're talking about Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild. My CD, I don't know what happened to it, but this is the whole album, just music videos instead. This album is incredible, though. I want the vinyl. It's like super hard to find, but I front to back, perfect album that I put on several times a year. I freaking love CKY, but specifically this album is just awesome. It gives me that nostalgia though to the days of skateboarding, which is a big part of it as well.
Like they were big in the skateboarding at the time, but Bam, the Viva La Bam blew them out of the water. Like they got the more looks at them because of Bam, and I really appreciate it because they are a really good skateboarding band.
I would say
That makes
Jackass though, really, because Jackass, that really kind of, because Jackass is essentially just the CKY also did like their own Jackass style videos, and that's all Jackass is just CKY rebranded essentially with a bunch of the same people. And yeah, I mean, I love all of that stuff from CKY to Viva La Bam, all of that stuff. I'd like to meet Bam at someday though, but his brother is the drummer for CKY. So
yeah, I would have never heard of him unless it was because of that whole era of stuff.
Yeah,
very good choice.
I was gonna say you never see him driving around in Philly.
Well, no, because I mean I'm Scranton, so I'm just going to Philly. I don't live that area. But yeah, I mean I would love to meet those guys at some point though, because like I said, it's just that brings me back to my skateboarding days.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I know some. I was gonna say I know some of the Philly people that saw him used to drive his purple Lamborghini around.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if you ever.
No, never got a chance to see him.
Speaking of skateboarding, this next band I actually heard on the X Games compilation album, like 1994, I think it was. And then they've had stuff on what's the Guitar Hero and stuff like that. I got to see them last year. And I'm glad I did because their original drummer just stepped away like 2 months ago and said, I'm done with music. And they've been auditioning new drummers for 2025. But 1991, this is my favorite album of theirs. It should be everybody's. It's Primus, Selling the Seas of Cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, Here Come the Bastards, Sergeant Baker, American Life. Jerry was a race car driver, is what was on.
Jerry was a race car driver.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is It Luck? Tommy the Cat. I mean, this just those damned blue collar tweakers, Los Bastardos, Fish On. Just this album from front to back is awesome. Primus has just been a band that I've loved forever. And I'm glad I got to see them last year with the Pussifer and Perfect Circle, which was a fucking amazing concert.
Yeah.
But Les Claypool has just always been one of those people I've been enamored by. I tried to play bass back in high school. I sucked at it, so I gave it up. But he's always been one of those people I'm like amazed every time I see him. So Primus, Selling Seas of Cheese, my number 3.
That is a great album.
He's one of those. You always have some of those artists that redefined the instrument, whether it's vocal or instrument, and he did some crazy stuff with bass. That it's just it kind of blew you away. You know, you always would think of like the lead guitar being the one that's like blowing you out of the water, but he was just doing crazy stuff with the bass that would do the same thing.
And I was gonna say if everybody in life has heard Primus just for the sole purpose of he did the opening song for South Park.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, he's done South Park thing, and he's done some other stuff too. I mean, he's had like 6 or 7 other side bands, like the Fearless Flying Frog Brigade, the Funky Band, a couple other things.
The All Stars, something All Stars.
Yeah, and he's just amazing. And to see, like I said, seeing him live, and it was a dream come true because it's very professional, everything sounds so good. And like his bass playing, like Corey said, what he's doing is just like astronomically difficult, but he makes it look so damn easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somebody just said Oysterhead was another band. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had several things.
But you have some of them that will do something different with the instrument that is like their signature. And when you hear that, you know it's him. You'll hear something with it, and it's the same instrument that everybody else is playing, but they just do something a little different to it that it's like it's their signature, and you can just be like, yep, that's Les, and there's other people have done it with the other instruments, but for sure he's got the bass thing going.
Yeah.
Saint Anger wasn't bad.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
It was an album.
Like I said, to me, anything after the Black Album was trash.
Well, I really just started disliking him when they sued, was it Napster or whatever?
Yeah.
And Lars, I'm going to be honest, Lars is a shit drummer.
He is.
Like, I mean, they've had so many drummers sit in during like Joey Jordison from Slipknot,
Dave Lombardo from Slayer.
Yes.
Played.
Oh God, that was amazing when he sat in. Like, Metallica. You could even, if you watch video footage from when he sat in, there's a couple of clips out on YouTube. James Hetfield looks invigorated by his drumming. Like, he looks like he's got life in him again. It's just crazy.
I was gonna say I've watched YouTube videos from the stadium tour that they did with Pantera last year, and I'm listening to it, and you can tell that Lars is playing, and he's in and out of time throughout the whole thing. He just cannot keep time anymore, especially when he gets to the older stuff. He's just so out of sync with the rest of the band. They should have. I've like I said, me being a drummer, he's never been a good drummer. But
Scottish Geek guys in the house. Howdy, folks.
Hey, Jimmy.
he got lucky.
As a drummer myself, Lars was never one to look up.
Yeah.
No.
And I watch every once in a while. I don't know why I always go back to watching after Jason Newsted left when they're interviewing bassist and Trujillo got it. Like
Yeah.
Lars is such a fucking cock in those videos. Like, you can really play that fast with your fingers, man. Yeah, because he's like,
Oh yeah,
good
during the
bassist.
auditions.
Yeah, it's like Jesus
And
Christ, man.
well, you know what makes me laugh is because, like I said, Lars he's such an ass. But with that whole Napster thing, he was so against it. Oh, you guys are stealing my music. But he brings up the early '80s of tape trading when everybody was trading tapes of different bands. Oh, check out this band. Check out this band. I'm like, it's the same thing. All of my friends traded tapes back in the day, you know, making tapes of different bands to check out. It's the same thing as what Napster did. But because it was money out of his pocket, it was different.
Oh yeah,
That was the big deal when we got the dual deck boom boxes. You could borrow a tape from somebody and get a blank tape and make a little copy there.
Oh yeah,
everybody did that.
I was gonna say, to this day, I still have 2 external hard drives hooked up to my TV of 1.7 million songs that I downloaded off of LimeWire, Kazaa,
Napster,
Audio Galaxy, Pirate
Crosswire.
Bay. I never used Frostwire, but
Well,
I have
after they shut down LimeWire, you had to move over to Frostwire because that was the alternative. Kazaa, God, I haven't heard that in forever.
yeah. I used to have a desktop that 24/7. That's all it did was just download music while I used another desktop for something else.
I pretty much had one that was Napster.
I
and
downloaded
LimeWire.
almost 1.7 million songs for free.
All right, Joe. We're in the top 2.
Top 2. Let's go.
Okay. One of my favorite bands of all time. Well, second. They're from this album came out in 1983. It's their first album, self-titled. They are one of the bands that pretty much started the whole metalcore scene with their second album. When the second album came out, a lot of the metalcore that you hear nowadays, the Kill Switches, Engages, the bands, later on after that, are all started from this band. Besides Earth Crisis, this was the other band that started it all. And I love this album. They're from Syracuse, New York, and it is Vision of Disorder's self-titled album. I am a huge fan of this band. They are so good. Their first 2 albums, this one is self-titled, and the second album, Imprint, that has a song with Films Ensemble on it, is so good. I honestly don't feel like they made a bad album. And that album, to this day, it's on a heavy rotation. At least once a month, I play that album. I just love that album.
I don't know them. I just
I'm looking them up on Apple Music. I've never heard of them.
What?
That's Vision of Disorder, correct?
Yes, from Syracuse, New York. I've seen them many times in concert. One of the first times I ever saw them was a show at an espresso bar in Worcester, Massachusetts, that they opened up for Incubus before Science came out. And when Brandon still had dreads, and I'm like, who the hell is it? I went there to see Vision of Disorder. Didn't even know who Incubus was. They played 4 songs. I'm like, this sucks. And I left. Now, Incubus's Science album was one of my favorite albums in Deeper Shade of Green. I freaking love that. I didn't even give them a chance. 3 songs in, I'm like,
It's fun-
trash.
It's funny
When
when
I
you
was
look
a-
back
when
at
I was
some
a-
stuff.
When I was a metal elitist, and I'm like,
Mhm.
damn it. Why did I do
made
that?
I
Why
made the
didn't I pay
mistake
more
'cause
attention?
when I got the Science album, I said that was my favorite album. It was their first album. It wasn't, because Fungus Among Us actually came out first,
Yeah.
and then it was Science. And the Fungus Among Us is still, it's okay, but Science is by far my favorite Incubus album.
Yeah, that album is so good. And like I said, I saw them in an espresso bar with like 100 people, and
That's awesome.
I never even gave them a chance by the 4th song. I'm like, peace out. I'm out of here.
Oh, there we go.
geez.
Sorry.
That's scary for anybody to have my face thrown up that big all of a sudden. But you got to give some people some warning. Be like, careful, old guy with a beard coming at you. Okay, so my top 2. Not gonna say people might think they're the greatest albums of the world, but they hit at really big parts of my life, and I can listen to them all the way through. So this one is going to be College Days for me. But we got 7 Mary 3, American Standard.
Oh God, yes.
Oh,
So
boy.
This is one. Sorry if that was a good or
It's
bad
okay.
old boy. I don't know. Just
It's just
It's
a band I haven't heard of in forever.
okay. I'm just saying, like, I don't know why. Do you ever have any that you just connect with at some point? I mean, it was just like a time in my life. This thing hit. This is my original one. If you look at it, it is scratch all to heck. And I have a pre-order of a new pressing on vinyl that's going to be coming out later this month.
Oh,
That
nice.
I will have this one on a nice color.
That's
It's-
got, what's the big song on that? I
Is
can't
that
think of it.
Cumbersome.
Cumbersome.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
yes.
probably the really
love
big-
that song.
But there was like Water's Edge, Cumbersome, I always say it wrong, but Devil Boy was another one I remember, and Lame. But yeah, Cumbersome I think was the huge one that was on the radio. And
That
so,
was
Down by the
massive.
Water, whatever.
Oh,
was
Water's
a
Edge.
huge
Yeah.
song.
Yep,
Or
that was
Water's
Water's
Edge. Yeah,
Edge,
it was
yep.
a huge song too.
Yep. So and but yeah, Favorite Dog actually is one I really like off of that too. If you ever go back and listen to them. But anyway, I remember getting judged of this album cover because there's a guy cutting a chicken head off here. But people are like, why are you listening to that? But anyway, I don't know
They're
why.
still around too. I think they still
Yeah.
tour.
They're
with,
still around.
They still do
Yeah.
some stuff. Yep. But
good band.
American Standard.
Their
was the
songs
one that-
were on a bunch of like compilations and soundtracks too.
Mhm.
Back
Oh,
in
yeah.
the day.
It was a big 90s alternative rock type
Oh, yeah.
of band, but I don't know why I really connected with it, and I still love it. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. And like I said, I happened to, when we were doing this, I was searching, and that was one of those 90s vinyl records that apparently wasn't that great of a vinyl, but it went for crazy money because they just didn't press too many of them. And I saw that they actually had a pre-order going on for a new pressing of it coming out at the end of this month. So I have that pre-ordered. So
I'm gonna have to check
It's
that
nice
out.
how
then.
that works out.
what's that?
It's nice how that works out.
Oh yeah. You don't buy the expensive one.
Yeah.
That was with the Jar of Flies too. That was one that went for crazy money before they repressed that one. But
I was gonna say that almost happened to me with Beth Hart live in Amsterdam. I was gonna spend $200 for that vinyl, and I decided to look around, and I found a pre-order for it in the UK, and it was coming out on red vinyl, and I got it for $34. I'm like, I am so glad I didn't freaking spend the $200 when they had a pre-order that just came up for it.
Yep.
Nice. All right, Tim and
So-
Warren, you're number
Yep.
2.
I'm gonna do Stone Sour, Come Whatever May. This is a
Nice.
great album.
Great album.
Yes, and all the made
And
of scars
autograph
on it.
too.
Nice autograph on that. I was gonna say. Nice.
Yeah, I just met him at one of the cons that we went to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a horror con. When was it? Which one was that again?
Yeah, it's Monster Mania.
Monster Mania. That's when we
Monster
did it.
Mania.
I will say I'm Stone Sour over Slipknot. I'm saying that now.
I love Slipknot though, but
Yeah,
I like that it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like Stone Sour more.
Slipknot's actually from my home state, so I gotta
Yeah.
kind of rep them a little bit. You know, a little Iowa action going on. But
All right.
Stone Sour,
Great
I
album.
really like Stone Sour. That's a great one.
Yeah. All right. So for mine, the last couple of years of me in high school, our school switched over to uniforms. So I only got to express myself with t-shirts in high school for a short time. I remember going to Hot Topic and picking up a shirt for Static X Machine. And
Great album, the second album.
I love this album so freaking much. I know most people would pick Wisconsin Death Trip,
Death Trip.
but I love this one front to back. Like Permanence is the best song they've put out, I
Was it
think.
Shadows?
Mhm.
Is
Shadows
Wisconsin
of-
Death Trip the one with Push It?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that has Push
And
It. I'm with Stupid.
But you've definitely heard the song Cold by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the bigger hits off of this album.
Mhm.
On freaking soundtracks and stuff like
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
The
But
Queen
thi-
Yeah.
Jam soundtrack, that's what that was
but
on.
this is such an incredible album. So like my top two, it's going to take an amazing album to unseat either of the two. Static X is probably going to be my number two for a very long time. I love this one.
So when the repress of Wisconsin Death Trip came out, about a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah.
I guess it was 2 years ago now. Me and Tim were in St. Louis and we were at that record store in that one mall. And here comes Tim. I found the Static X record. I'm like, I've been looking for that. And then
Yeah.
I ended up finding it like a month later at either Barnes and Nobles or Coconuts. I don't remember, but yeah, I love Wisconsin Death Trip. It almost made my list.
So do I.
And I was like, it's just getting pushed out just a little bit, but Machine, great album as well.
Yeah.
Tim, just so you know, we already have a request to see a picture of you in your school
Yes.
uniform.
I was looking through my pictures to see if I had a picture of me in that shirt. I actually looked up on eBay to how much to buy that same shirt. Oh my God, people want like $250 to rebuy that shirt.
Oh, it's vintage
Wow.
now. It's vintage.
I
yeah.
know.
But
I know.
Tiana's in the house. Happy Canada person, Tiana.
Hey, Tiana.
Yeah, we need
Hey,
pictures of
Tiana.
you in a school uniform, Tim. I've
I'm surprised.
I know Static X is still touring because the bassist and the guitarist are like milking it.
Yeah.
It's the
And
singer
then they have,
now.
Etzel Dope is singing, and I just don't think that's right. I don't
No,
mind when
but-
they change. I don't mind when they change when a band changed singers, and he sounds like Wayne Static, but to do that whole persona to make him look like Wayne Static, I have a big issue with that. To me, that's no better than putting out like a hologram.
But they haven't
They-
done any new music though, correct?
No,
They've only
they're
been
just
playing
They've
released
basically,
material.
yeah, and even
Milking the old stuff.
and a lot of the newer stuff they've released too. They released a lot of stuff that Wayne did vocals for that they
Yeah.
basically just reworked
Mhm.
into new songs. So
I would still go see them just because that would be an experience. But
Yeah.
I don't. I think once he passed away, like
Yeah.
again, the same thing with Lincoln Park. I don't think they should move on. That's just me.
Static X though put me on to I really like industrial. So that put
Yeah.
me on to bands like Power Man 5000 and Fear Factory.
I was gonna say Fear Factory is my one of my favorite industrial. When I first heard it on the Mortal
Digimortal.
Kombat Mortal Kombat soundtrack,
Oh, okay.
and when from the songs from Demanufacture, I was just like, I was always a big fan. Seen
I
them
keep-
so many times.
I want to find Digimortal on vinyl because that one's
I
kind of
yeah.
rare. It's I
I-
love that album.
I have their first two and then their last couple, but Digimortal is one I cannot find on vinyl. It's so hard to find. I have the CD. I had to
So when I
sell it.
was guessing that there would be two that would be the same, when I cut Wisconsin Death Trip, I actually thought that'd be the one that you were going to pick, Tim, because I remembered how excited you were whenever you found that album, because that is a great album.
It is, but
Um,
Wisconsin Death Trip is close, but like I had that more connection to Machine.
All right, my pick is a 2017. This is probably my newest title. This album, my girlfriend hates it because I've played it so much. I listened to it front to back. It tells a story through the whole thing. The lead singer is one of my favorite songwriters. I own like all his stuff. I own everything by this band. It's just a really good album, front to back. Again, it's a Manchester Orchestra, Black Mile to the Surface, which Black Mile to the Surface is a reference to coal mining. And this whole album takes place in Leeds, South Dakota, basically. And it just tells a story of a family and these people all the way through the whole thing. The Gold is like the big song on here, which I just absolutely love. But The Maze, The Moth, Lead, South Dakota, The Alien, The Sunshine, The Grocery, The Wolf, The Mistake, The Parts, The Silence. Like it tells a whole story all the way through it. And I always said, if I ever get another tattoo, which I've only got one, I've just got my initials on my arm. I want to get this album cover on the inside of my wrist, just kind of like that. You know, it's a girl that's basically cut herself up a tree and she's dropped her shears. But Manchester Orchestra, just one of my favorite bands. Spoiler. I love this album. Just means so much. I almost put, they have a demos EP that came out of this I picked up, and so I got like 5 songs on there, and it actually has my favorite Manchester Orchestra song on there, which is I Know How to Speak. I almost made that my number 2, but it's only 4 songs, and like this just covers everything. This is my favorite.
That's good.
Manchester Orchestra, Andy Hall. If you guys never listened to them, please
I was
do.
gonna say, I wrote it
stuff.
down. I've never heard it.
That's
I've
good
heard
stuff.
of the band because of you posting it, but to this day I forgot about it. And I'm gonna have to write it and check it out.
Yeah, a lot of people probably remember like their earlier stuff was I've Got Friends and Shake It Out. Shake It Out. Actually, the video is basically over the top of Sylvester Stallone, the arm wrestling thing.
Yeah,
The video is very much, it's about this dude that's in a semi truck and he's going all these arm wrestling things. It's the lead singer is playing the character, and it's just awesome song. Like I love Manchester Orchestra, and I'm pissed off of COVID. 2020, Manchester Orchestra was on tour with Modest Mouse, and I wanted to see both of them. They were going to be in Nashville. I was going to get tickets as soon as it opened up because my buddy lives in Nashville. That's when I go to Nashville. That's who I go to concerts with. COVID canceled it, and they've never toured again together. And Manchester Orchestra is one of those bands that usually, when they do tour, they usually hit festivals and the big cities, Chicago, New York, California stuff. And they do a lot of stuff. They're from Georgia, so they do a lot of Florida, Georgia stuff too. And I'm waiting to see them. Like when they come close again, I want to see them. But COVID, F you.
I'm gonna have to. I've not listened to any of them, so I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, their earlier stuff's a lot more heavy. Like I said, Shake It Out and I've Got Friends is from their earlier albums. Their newer stuff's more deeper and personal and better written. And like Andy Hall has really grown as a songwriter, I think, and a singer. And I just love all their stuff. Let's see. Hold on. Get to that in a second. Your favorite drummers.
Oh, that's easy. Dave Lombardo, Danny Carey, and 2 from Sleep Token.
Danny Carey is probably the octopus.
Okay.
I love that
Yep.
dude. He's one of my favorites. Man, I want to say I really like Dave Grohl. He fucking bangs the
Dave
shit
Grohl's
out of the
awesome.
drums, and he's just very flexible.
Mhm.
Old Music Mirror is super hot nowadays. I always see things I had from many years ago that people are reselling for mad money. Yeah, the vintage shirts are just insanely crazy.
I didn't realize that was a thing. And I'm thinking about all the concerts I went to and all the shirts that I threw away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or should have bought and then
Yeah.
resold.
I didn't
Yeah,
think
ju-
that, like when I looked up that Static X shirt though, like that's a shirt from Hot Topic. Like I wasn't expecting that to be a $200 shirt.
Yeah.
Well, when they don't
Okay,
get-
we're going on 243 right now on the stream. I didn't think it'd be. I thought it was going to go long, but I didn't think it was going to last long. So let's go ahead and get our number 1 out of the way. We'll get that
I was
knocked out.
thinking at least 4 hours.
Oh God.
We're halfway done. Let's go.
Oh no.
Okay. Okay. My number 1, this album came out in 1986. I love this album. This album actually was made in 1977 and was shelved since 77 until it got released in 86. And to me, it's a perfect album from a perfect band, and it is the Misfits, Static Age.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
I love this album. This is before they actually had a guitarist, and Glenn Danzig was pretty much playing the keyboards throughout. This has so many good songs on it. To me, it's, like I said, their best album. When the band first started, they were going to start a record company called Blank Records. Mercury tried to use it for one of their sub companies, and Glenn Danzig was going to sue them instead and decided to give them the name for 30 hours of studio time. And those 30 hours of studio time, they did this album. And Mercury said, we'll be the first ones to check it out to see if we want it. And they listened to it and they said, you guys suck. And the thing pretty much shelved till after the Misfits broke up when they were released in 1986. But it has always been my favorite album by them.
Misfits have always been a weird band to me. Like their music's always been interesting, but they've just a lot of those bands that came out of the 70s transformed a lot into the 80s. And if they were still around in the 90s, even transformed more. And that's one of those bands that just always been kind of weird to me.
Yeah, the Misfits, the original Misfits only released three studio albums, and then they broke up. They broke up in 1983, and then they went into pretty much a big court battle. And then Gary only got the rights in the 90s to come back out, and that's when they got their second singer, Michael Graves, and came out with 2 albums. And then kicked him out of the band because he was too political. And Jerry Only, the bassist, decided to take the rest of the band till they stopped pretty much doing anything. And now the original Misfits are back together with Glenn Danzig doing these huge tours that are pretty much.
Every time I hear when I hear Danzig's name, the only thing I can think of is Mother, like that.
Yeah,
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, Mother. I remember when I first heard that, I was just like, man, he sounds like Jim Morrison meets Motorhead.
Yeah. And speaking of, here's Corey with Motorhead.
Speaking of Motorhead,
so now he's going to pull out the doors.
No, I'm not going to do that. But
LA Woman, I mean.
Yeah, right. This is actually another nostalgic one for me. Like I said, it's whether you think it's a great album or not, I have a lot of sentimental value to it. It was my end of my high school, or beginning of my college. I remember hanging out with a couple good buddies, listening to this all the time. We're still good friends. A couple of them were in each other's weddings. Anyway, anytime I put this on, I can think of them, and it always gives me a good smile. But it's Candlebox, their first album.
Great album.
Yes.
Oh, nice choice.
So
yes,
that is one I can go back and listen to over and over again, and have there was so many nights putting that in a CD player in a car and hanging out, and maybe a beverage or something, but like hanging out and just having good times with some friends, not harming anybody. But
what's the big song off of there?
Well, the big
Far
one
Behind.
Far Behind.
Yeah, Far Behind. Okay, yeah.
But then there's like Blossom, and one that I actually really like off it is Cover Me.
That's a great song.
That's one of my.
They've actually had a little bit of a resurgence lately. They've been on tour as well. They may be a part of like the Goo Goo Dolls and all those other 90s bands.
They probably.
We just saw them last year with 3 Doors Down.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Blossom. I forgot about that one. Blossom's another good one off there. But I can listen to this one all the way through. But it's one of those, again, I have like 2 or 3 buddies that I just remember buying this right off the bat. We were listening to it together and many, many times. And I can throw that in and think about hanging out with them and having good times and a lot of good friendships there. But great album too. So anyway, yeah, Candlebox.
No, that's a very good choice. Very good band.
I would say that back in the day before CD burners came out, there wasn't many CDs that I bought more than once. But Candlebox, I love that album so much. I actually had a copy for the car and a copy for the house. So I always had it near me because I love that album. That and Super Unknown are the only 2 albums I ever bought more than one copy of, just because I didn't want to go out to the car and go get it.
Yeah. Marie's out on that.
Yeah, I had a cassette and a CD of that. I still have the CD, but the cassette, because one of the vehicles sometimes I would drive had a cassette player, and the other one had a CD player. So I had a cassette and a CD of that, so I could listen to it no matter which one I was driving. So
yeah, I love that album. He had such a good twangy voice.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I finally redeemed myself with you, Joe. I think with a couple of these. So. You're like, don't get too high on yourself, Corey. You still pulled Led Zeppelin.
You did
4.
good. You pulled Led Zeppelin 4, but
I'm sorry, but that was what
you-
I still remember to this day with my cousin, man.
Because we're old, Jeff. That's why.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
right.
I was gonna say we all have duds.
That's all right, but you still love them. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tim and Warren, what's your number one?
Well, the one I have is Seven Dust, but I love Seasons, but I don't own
Nice.
that one on vinyl or CD right now, so I'm going to go with the next album, which is Next from Seven Dust.
Seven
Seven
Dust.
Dust is one of my favorite bands.
Awesome.
I have
Great band.
Have all their
Yeah.
albums. I got a couple. I think I got one signed by them, so
Hopefully, Seasons
Fantastic.
gets a vinyl.
hopefully Seasons. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
kind of
Great.
tied up right now with everything. They have to wait for all this stuff to go through with like little
Seven Dust has been one of those bands that's always just been consistent. They've
Consistent.
never had anything bad, but they've never had. I don't think they've had the recognition that they deserve as
No.
well.
You're right.
And Lejean is such a great singer.
Yeah.
I've seen them so many times. I remember the first time I saw them, it was a street team came by and gave me a cassette outside for Seven Dust, and it had Bitch and Black on it.
Mm.
And then I was going to Providence, Rhode Island to go see the Bloodhound Gang, and they opened up for him. And I'm like, who the wow, this band. I was like, why am I here watching the Bloodhound Gang? Seven Dust was so good.
Yeah.
And it was one of those bands again that was an opening band, and they were better than the main band.
Like Brian mentioned, though, the consistency.
Yeah,
If you've heard
Yeah.
Seven Dust and you like Seven Dust, you're probably gonna like their whole
Yeah,
discography.
exactly.
Yeah.
We own
That's
every-
all you can ask for. You have a band that can do that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So mine, I think Corey already has an idea what this is gonna be, but
We all do.
everyone does. All right.
Everyone does.
But Joe, when you mentioned about keeping a CD in the car for a long time, I worked at a different building that was about 25, 30 minutes away. And I would drive up and back every day in my shitty little Grand Am. And all I had was the CD player, no hooking up MP3s. And I had this album in for an entire year.
Nice.
And it still goes in
Jeez.
my regular rotation constantly.
Nice.
When I talked about like I need good lyrically, amazing album. It's chill, mellow. It hits. I love this thing so much that we spent $600 to buy this. That this is a super rare album.
I
You had
I've
that.
never
You had
seen
them
that
one of
one.
your pickups, didn't you?
Yeah.
Your pickup videos. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
When you said the $600 price tag, I remember that video because you're like,
Yeah.
this was a lot. Don't judge me.
Yeah. I don't
remember
see
that.
this, there's no way this gets repressed. Like they did their music was released under smaller labels that a couple of them were defunct. I think this one is defunct as well, this label. The band is broken up. Like I don't see this ever getting another re-release. And I adore this album. This will never get surpassed, I don't think. I honestly don't think so. Perfect.
But that's cool that you were able to get a hold of it and you enjoy it that much. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, it's what you.
What
know
it
that
means
the-
to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the weird thing with vinyl is a lot of stuff it exists and you're looking for it. We didn't even know this existed for so long. It's rare enough that it almost never comes up. It's when we saw it on Discogs, there wasn't even a picture. Like it didn't even look like it was like a legit entry. No one had it in their collection. Like we didn't even think this was a real release. So when it actually popped up, it's like, oh my God, this thing actually it's real.
Yeah.
I don't know how many copies they pressed. But it
Is
was
that a
not-
U.S. release or is it an import release?
It's a U.S. release, but so the record label is Amusement Recordings. I don't
even think they're around.
Somebody else that owned it in
Yeah.
like Germany. I think I got that from Germany because
but-
the guy had it and sent it to us.
but the label is like they're defunct now. There's no way that that ever gets another
No,
re-release.
it's not gonna happen.
I was gonna say that's when Tim got that, and it's an album that I've always wanted, but nothing. I don't think they'll ever release it. And that's Bring Me the Horizon live at Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, I think that thing goes for a lot.
It's $1,200 for the vinyl. The CD is $250, and the DVD, the Blu-ray that Tim has, is like $250. I can't get a copy. I have to watch it always on YouTube because any physical copy I have to spend $200 on, and that's never going to get re-released. And I love that so much. That when Tim showed me the Blu-ray, I was just like, oh my God.
All right. So my final pick. I'm a weird guy. I think I'm a weird guy. I've got a weird sense of humor. I like weird, quirky stuff. This band's been around. Actually, the lead singer's been around since 92, 93. He had 2 solo albums before he formed this band. And they've got like a dozen albums since then. I've seen them live in Nashville. They hardly tour. When they do, they're strictly California and maybe New York, and they do some stuff overseas. The lead singer's had a real tragic kind of history. His dad actually was a famous physicist that came up with the parallel lives theory about how everybody has parallel lives running and all that. He found his dad dead of a heart attack. His sister committed suicide. His mom died of cancer, which he made a complete album about that. His cousin was one of the stewardess on the second plane that hit the towers of 9/11. He's had one failed marriage after years and years of just saying that he'd never find love. A lot of his stuff is like relationship based, but my favorite album, it's their first album as a band. We'll go with the Eels, Beautiful Freak. People have heard this band. Novocaine for the Soul was the big one on here. Was played on MTV a lot. He's been in soundtracks. He's done a bunch of different stuff. It's Mark Oliver Everett. His father was Hugh Everett, the physicist. So if anybody wants to look that up, actually not the BBC, whatever the American Science Channel is, did a documentary called Parallel Lives, and he actually narrates it and hosts it and interviews in it. But I love this album. Very, very quirky, but everything's in here. Novocaine for the Soul, Rags to Rags, Beautiful Freak, My Beloved Monster, which I just actually played on my Fresh Friday Driving Jams the other day. Flower, Guest List, Mental, Spunky, Your Lucky Day in Hell, front to back. This is actually my 3rd copy of this CD. I burned out 2 other copies, and they just released this album not too long ago, and I'm glad they did. I love this album. But the Eels, one of my favorite longtime bands that stuck with me for a long time.
I'll actually need to listen to that album. I know Novocaine for the Soul, but that's the only one I know off of that, because that was what got all the radio play when that came out. But...
And it's a weird video because they're like in an alleyway between like 2 bars or something, and like they start floating in the air, and it's got just a really weird, catchy hook and all that. But I actually wanted to name my son either Oliver or Everett, and my girlfriend nixed me on that. She wouldn't let me do it. So, yeah, that's it.
I was waiting for you to say Novocaine. I'm like, yeah, no, don't call your kid.
Yeah. I was going to say, I wanted to name my son after Malachi from Children of the Corn, and my girlfriend put a squash on that too.
All right. So what I'm going to do, I want to run through the chat real quick, and then we got our just misses, and then we're probably going to wrap this up. But Acres of Movie, I'm partial to Justin Van Westbrook, the current drummer of Guttermouth, which I think I've heard of.
Yeah,
he's one of the best of all time and best around now for sure. Drummers are a very pivotal part of a band. If you've got a bad drummer, you know it.
Yep.
Yeah, they keep the time in the band.
Yep.
Yeah. Hot Topic and Spencer Church are worth a whole lot more than what I've ever thought of back in the day. Yep. She asked this question earlier. If Elvis were alive in the 80s and 90s, who would he have collaborated with? David Bowie. Who?
Oh, no, Fall Out Boy was the early 2000s.
Yeah. Okay.
It'd be someone really poppy. It'd be like a poppy.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, I would think. Elton John, Queen, and what did I say first? David Bowie. I think would all be, because I think by that time Elvis would have been just on his last legs, and it would be more compilations of just who would get him more views. I think those people would get him some. I say
Barry Manilow.
Nice.
My final round pick is the Highwaymen and the Traveling Wilburys, both great bands.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen Tom Petty. Tom Petty was my first concert I ever went to on the Wildflowers tour.
So funny story, we got free tickets to a Tom Petty concert, and
he died.
No, that would not be a funny story. But my wife was complaining about her back hurting. And I'm like, let's go. And she was pregnant with my son. And we ended up going about 2 a.m. and he was 2 weeks early. And my first boy was born. So we were listening to Free Fallin', and then she was free falling a little bit later from that. But.
Yeah, I saw Tom Petty, but I didn't go to see Tom Petty. I went to go see his opening act, and that was Lenny Kravitz on the Let Love Rule tour.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big Lenny Kravitz fan since his first album, so he was open. He got booed the whole time, but
Really?
nobody.
Oh.
That was when he first came out in the early '90s. Nobody really liked him. Everybody, especially for a Tom Petty crowd.
Yeah, my Tom Petty experience was awesome because it was the Wildflowers tour when he was doing the solo stuff, but he had the Heartbreakers with him. They had no opening band. They started at 7, played all the Wildflowers songs, then started playing the Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker stuff. They ended at like 12:30 at night. Went off stage, and the crowd wouldn't shut up. The roadies were literally disassembling the drum kit. He came back out, made them put everything back up, and then they played 6 more songs. We didn't get out there until like 2 a.m.
I was going to say mine was like that, but he was with the Heartbreakers with ours, and he played. It was both like their hits and like the Wildflowers, and it was a great concert.
Yeah,
Wildflowers is a great album. That was one I almost put on here, but
let's see. Oh, that's where she got you on that. All the 90s band. Yeah. Missy Elliott. Shannon Hoon's I'm from Indiana. Shannon Hoon's actually from Indiana. If they were still around, they wouldn't have done much. Like, I like Blind Melon. Change is one of my favorite songs of theirs, but I don't think they would have lasted much longer. Like, Shannon Hoon's a unique person, but overall that band, I think they would have split up and did something different.
What was the
obscurity?
They had a couple of albums though, and it's still they get put on one-hit wonders lists.
Oh yeah.
Because No Rain was the only one that ever became like a big hit. You know, their second album, he went like really psychedelic and was really different.
Galaxy.
So Galaxy.
What was the one song I liked? It was like Bitter Beans or Bowl of Bitter Beans or gosh, it was on one weird album that they put
Soup
out.
is their first album. Soup has the song called Soup or Bowl of Soup or something on there.
Yeah.
That was real big, but he also had Grinding Teeth or something like that. That was a really good song about addiction. I forget what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that's going to bug me now. I'll figure it out about 15 minutes after we're off the stream.
Bad Religion's a good band. That's one of those bands I've never picked up any of their stuff, but I've always listened to it.
I was a big fan of Bad Religion. Still am.
All right. So we're going to end this out. Actually, we got 2 things in this out. We'll do this first. Just miss honorable mentions. I'm going to run through mine real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to do it super speed quick.
Mad Villain. It's Madlib and MF Doom. This is by far probably the best thing that MF Doom has ever put out. It just missed it just because Danger Doom is my introduction to MF Doom. There's not a bad song on here. That's just that. It's highly regarded as one of the best albums ever. The thing that people probably thought was going to make my list, the Crow soundtrack. It just barely missed it. It's only because as much as I love this movie and I love this album, it's my favorite movie. It's my favorite soundtrack of all time. There's still a couple of songs on here that just do not hit it for me. Like For Love Not Lisa, Slip Slide Melting. Is that the one? And then there's another song on it I just don't care for. But otherwise, I just love this overall because it is my favorite. Deftones, Around the Fur.
Love that album.
I was trying to find the meme. There was this little thing I seen. It's like one of those text messages thing. It was like, hey, what's that band that you liked in the 90s? And then that sounded like, and it just had a bunch of little sad faces. And they were like, you mean the Deftones? Like, this is your angsty teen, just music. I love this album, just front to back.
So do you listen to Crosses then? If you like Deftones?
No, I have not listened to Crosses.
Check out
Chino's other band.
Pop.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they're really good.
This album was another album that got me through the 90s, through my high school days. This band has only had 4 albums. The first album you can't even find because they sold it out of the back of their trunk on cassette. They're from Champaign, Illinois, which isn't that far away. Super big hit was Stars. You'd prefer an astronaut?
So good.
Yes. Stars has probably one of the best guitar breakdowns of the 90s.
Mhm.
If nobody's ever heard Stars, go look it up right now. They've been on the whatever the Matt Pinhead show was, or Pinfield show on MTV and all that.
Yeah.
Howard Stern. Actually, the Howard Stern one is probably the best live performance, but great. They still get out and tour every once in a while. The band is all original except for the drummer, which I think passed away and they replaced him. But great album. You prefer an astronaut.
That's a great album.
All right. Whoever wants to go next.
I'll go. Since
All right.
We'll just go
I guess I
around.
should have full screen myself.
All right. Don't judge me on any of these. Okay, first one. Well, maybe want to be. I was always a punk drummer from when I was younger. Misfits, Black Flag, stuff like that. This album came out, blew me away. 1986, changed how I played drums, and always been a big fan. Slayer's Rain in Blood. Can't say enough about it. Next one. Don't judge me. One of my favorite newer bands. This is a live album from 2018, live in Seoul, Korea, and it is Blackpink live in Seoul, Korea. I love Blackpink. I like K-pop. Don't judge me. Don't say nothing.
I don't even know that. I don't even know that.
I just ruined it because of Led Zeppelin was the worst thing that you showed, but now I just killed it. Okay. Next one, 1951, 1964. Big fan of this guy. Love his music. Back before I had Gary, I used to have a lake house. And me and Marie used to go out on the boat at night and just play this and listen to this because I love Motown music. And it is Sam Cooke's
Nice.
greatest hits. I love Sam Cooke. I have his full discography. And the album that would be in my top 10, but I don't feel like it's been out long enough, but I literally listen to it daily. Literally every day, I still listen to this album. And Warren is wearing a sweatshirt. And it is Sleep Tokens, Take Me Back to Eden. I've always been a big fan of Sleep Token, but when this album came out, it blew me away. The soundscape, just the way the album just opens up and soars throughout the whole thing. It's so produced so well. I can't wait for this year, 2025, because Sleep Token is announcing a new album and Deftones supposed to be coming out with a new album. So I'm excited for both. But
yes. Speed round.
Speed round. Okay, I'll go really quick. I don't have them here, but I'll just throw them out there. One that was, coming out of the 80s into the 90s. It was different than what the 80s had. It was different than what was being really popular at the time in the 90s. But I would say the Black Crowes' Shake Your Moneymaker is an album that I love. And it was like something that was just different. It was going back to, it was something, what is old is new again kind of a thing. I mean, it was blues rock and, or Southern rock, whatever you want to call it. But it was something that kind of blew me away. And it was so different from and so I love that album. Love other albums of theirs as well. Also at that same time period when I was going into my freshman year, there was some big life changes with our family. And so my teen angsty music that I would love was Toad the Wet Sprocket, and it was Pale is the album. Mm-hmm. And that's another 90s album. I've seen people have like the Seafoam green vinyl, and it goes for stupid crazy money, and they just don't repress it. But yeah. So I'll go with those two, whether you heard of those or not. Those are mine.
Toad the Wet Sprocket's one of those bands that's been around for a long time, and I've dabbled in their music, but I've never actually owned any of their music.
Some of their earlier ones, like Bread for Circus and Pale, are different than the newer ones that got more radio play, and so those are the ones I kind of would lean towards. But
gotcha.
I was going to say Black Crowes Southern Harmony is my favorite. That's so good.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's a great one too. Yeah.
So mine I'm going to show real quick are different than these. Aren't ones that just missed. These are ones that they're too damn new that I wouldn't put them on a list. But maybe if they stand the test of time, they just happen to be some of my favorite albums that I've been listening to over the past couple of years. We got Silverstein, Misery Made Me, freaking amazing album. Under Oath, Voyeurist. I don't know if any of you guys listen to either of those bands.
Yes and yes.
Bad Omens, Death of Peace of Mind, freaking incredible album. And do not listen to this, Corey. Veil Maya. Do not listen to this, Corey. I'm telling you.
I did not write it down.
It is very, very heavy. But yeah, those ones I could see possibly making my list in the future.
And then for mine, I got the other Sleep Token album. This Place Will Become Your Tomb. This is a fantastic album, also.
Yeah, the second album.
Atreyu, Let's Makers. This is a fantastic.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
So these are both really good albums.
Check out
Corey's like,
Sleep
yeah.
Token, Corey.
What's that?
Check out
Corey's like,
Sleep
yeah, I know
Token,
that one.
Corey.
Well, it was like out of those, I was like, Trio, I know that one.
Is that the only one you knew out of even mine too? Like between both of us?
Yes. Well, no, Bad Omen. No, I knew Bad Omen. So there was only two, one each.
Yeah, I knew them all, and Veil of Maya, I own that album, so that's a great album.
That's a great album.
All right.
It's so heavy.
Before
I would not recommend.
I'll check out all the others except that one.
Before we float this boat home, there's a lot of stuff on my list that I would love to have on here, but like we'd be here for another 4 hours just listing another 10 things. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank Joe, Corey, Warren, Tim for showing up for this. I appreciate it. Again, I was looking for something new. And you see us do movie stuff all the time. Physical media includes music, and we just don't talk about it a whole lot. And that's why I wanted to do this. So that leaves us with our final question for the night. I know what my top 3 are as of right now, and it's been pretty steady for the last probably 5 to 6 years of the same. But I want to know what everybody's top 3 artists or bands as of right now is. So, Joe, what would be your 3?
All right, I'm going to just do it real quick. Pantera, number 3, hands down. Best. I love Pantera. Saw them in concert so many times. New Pantera, I will never go see it. Tool, I love Tool. Seen them so many times. First time I saw them, it was to go see Rage Against the Machine, but Tool, I love Tool. And my favorite band of all time, everybody should know, is the Misfits. I own so much Misfits. It's insane. I have every live discography, 7 inches, Misfits. I love the Misfits. I used to be a fan club member back in 1982 when I first found them. I've seen every iteration with Glenn Danzig, everyone. I love the Misfits. Even shaking my camera, I love the Misfits so much. But they'll be my favorite band till the day I die.
Tool's a great choice. If I were to put one album on this list, like if I could take one off and put a Tool album on it, it'd have to be Opiate. I love Opiate.
Opiate's so good.
Undertow's good. Lateralis is good. The whatever that was after Lateralis is really good. I've seen Korn.
Oh, 10,000 Days.
I've seen Korn. Or 10,000 Days, yeah. I've
and
seen Tool
Enema.
live. I was kind of disappointed in my Tool experience. I was working there as a medical staff, and Maynard stayed behind the guitar stack almost the whole time.
Yeah.
It was a small venue. He just didn't come out. It was good. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a performance. Now, last year when I seen him with Pussifer in a Perfect Circle, fantastic. So I want to try to see Tool again. So
yeah,
moving on.
Tool, Maynard, when he's with Tool, because Tool is more of a band experience, he doesn't want him. He has bad stage fright, but he wants it to be like an experience of the whole band. So he treats himself as like an instrument, that he's not like the main person. So because of that, because even when I saw them on the Undertow tour when they opened up when Rage Against the Machine opened up for him, and he came out in a Speedo and he was all dressed in blue. And, that's when they were like a little on the weird side. Well, he's always been weird, but I thought they were, he stood in front of the stage back then. He used to do that, or he used to come out with a bra on and look kind of weird. But, I always loved Tool so much. I don't think they've ever made a bad album.
No. Corey, what you got for your top 3?
For bands that I'm going to say, there's ones that I probably maybe tomorrow I'll say are above them, but ones that I listen to the most out of their the albums that they have, I'd probably go with Pink Floyd, Metallica, and the Black Crowes.
3 solid
sorry,
choices.
you can say
Two out of 3 ain't
generic.
bad.
Yeah, there
Like
you go.
Like
there you go.
Meatloaf says.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. So there you go. That's a win for me in Joe's book. So
All right. So for me, Linkin Park, Hurt, 10 years.
And I got Godsmack, Linkin Park, and Shinedown.
nice.
Those are my 3 bands.
Very nice. So my top 3 are the Eels, number 3, Aesop Rock, number 2, Manchester Orchestra, number 1. That's mine. Aesop Rock and Manchester Orchestra have been a constant for a long time. It went back and forth between Blue October and Eels forever, but Eels, massive discography. I've seen them live. I love them. He's always putting out new stuff. So that slipped in my top 3. But yeah, that is it.
I was gonna say
go
my number 3, because we were talking about it, that I went with full songs. My number 3 is so close to being like something so diverse that nobody would even expect, me being such a huge fan of, and I've seen it so many times in concert. My number 3 is like neck and neck with Pantera, is Rihanna. I saw her on tour with Katy Perry. I'm a huge Rihanna fan. Big Rihanna fan.
You're under
she's
her
almost-
umbrella.
She's almost in my top 3 of favorite artists of all time.
All right, we're going to finish out the chat here, and we're going to get out of here. Steve, this was great. When's the next one? I don't know, Steve. I know like 2 years ago, I made a thing where I'm going to do more live streaming, and then I just completely butchered that year. So hopefully I can get another one of these together.
And then he comes back and does this and was like, why am I on here for over 3 hours with these guys?
because he asked Joe to do it, and Joe doesn't shout out.
I think we all have that problem.
Joe's
talking about
yeah.
things you have fun with.
You can only own 4 soundtracks. Which soundtracks will you retain? Mine will be The Crow for sure. Spider-Man 2 soundtrack. Man, what's another soundtrack I listen to a lot of?
What'd you pick?
Queen of the Damned is a great soundtrack.
Queen of the Damned is really good. I would
That's
probably
a-
pick that too.
We have that.
Man.
A lot.
Oh, Rudderless soundtrack. What's Rudderless? Check it out. Anton Yelchin,
Good movie.
Billy Crudup. I put a lot of people onto the movie. I think Corey, I got you onto it.
Yes,
mhm.
you put it in my hand when we were doing Smooth.
Oh, yes.
Shopping.
Yes, I did. The
And I
soundtrack's great
appreciate
because
that.
it's
Yeah.
all original music by Anton Yelchin, Billy Crudup, and the bassist is actually he's the bassist for an actual band that's in the movie and on the soundtrack. And Selena Gomez is on it too. Great soundtrack. So check out the soundtrack and check out the movie Rudderless if you've never seen it.
I'll throw out there for our 90s love, I'll throw out the Singles soundtrack.
That's a great one.
That's got a lot of good
Yes.
90s grunge music on there. But
I was going to say two that I didn't mention that I really like is River's Edge soundtrack and Strangeland soundtrack.
D. Snyder, Strangeland.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, good
Yeah.
soundtrack. Yeah,
Yep. That soundtrack, and like I said, River's Edge is really good.
which we're getting actually finally a boutique release of River's Edge. Didn't it just come
Yeah.
out?
oh,
It
is that
came out in
right?
December from Kino. I think it was Kino that released it.
Al Pacino or De Niro for a better music superstar?
That's a question.
Pacino? I think
I would say
Pacino would be
Pacino.
like a modern day Tom. What is his? Gets the panties thrown at him.
Oh, Tom Jones.
Yes.
Tom Jones. Yes. Yeah. Like a cross between Tom Jones and Will Shatner. I think like
Mhm.
that would be like a Pacino. Got Movie Hunter checking in again. Great stream, everyone. Great memories brought back by all these picks tonight. My face hurts from smiling so much. Well, good. I'm glad we could do that for you. Again, I want to thank Joe. I want to thank Corey. I want to thank Warren. And I want to
Thank
thank
you.
Tim for doing this. 3 hours and 18 minutes. I didn't think it would take this long, but it did.
That was a short run.
I've got a bunch of stuff written down on my card here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 bands I got to check out. Because
I'm going to
apparently
be
I'm not
listening
as
back to
diverse as I
the
thought.
stream to figure out the ones I missed writing down. So
Um,
there's a lot of good stuff thrown out. That's why I love
Yes.
doing these things.
Start with Veil of Maya.
Veil of Mire. That's the one. Isn't it the one Tim said don't
Yeah.
listen to?
That's the one.
So I thank everybody in the chat. Hopefully they got a good, laugh about this. Learned a little bit more about us YouTubers that do Blu-ray movie stuff all the time. You got to see a different side of us. You got to learn some of our music tastes. Check all these guys out again. Links are down below. Warren is only on Instagram at Speck of Wax.
Yep.
Boop. At Speck of Wax.
There you go.
Posts all of his record stuff. Again, I want to thank everybody. It's been a great. I got a bunch of stuff to check out. Everybody's lists were awesome. Joe, how close or off were you thinking of our lists?
Corey was the one that threw me for the most loop. I thought Corey.
Wow.
I thought you would have a lot more like grunge, kind of like Gin Blossoms,
I
kind
do
of,
like them. But
because that's what it seems. I actually thought Ryan's would have like grunge and like a lot more. I thought you would have a lot more hip hop, honestly. So that's what kind of threw me off.
I actually thought you would too, Ryan. I thought you were going to have more.
Yeah.
I like a lot of hip hop, but there's again, it's that part of the music I don't listen to a whole lot, but when I do, it's a very narrow spectrum. Like a lot of MF Doom, a lot of Starface, a lot of Wu-Tang, Aesop Rock, Hail Mary Mallon, Rob Sonic, Beastie Boys, just stuff like that. That's white approved. I don't want to be like, but I mean, it really is. I'm not in the hardcore stuff. You're not going to hear me listen to gangster rap or mumble rap or anything like that. But yeah, it's the hip hop's, it's different. I do listen to a lot of, but it's hard to put on a list.
Yeah. Yeah. I like for rap nowadays. And the only person I know that likes them is me and Bob. I'm shocked that Bob does, but it's like, NF. I really like NF. That he's a white rapper, but before that, it's mostly I don't mind the hip hop, but like Public Enemy, I like NWA, but I like old LL Cool J. I saw Run DMC in concert with the Beastie Boys in '86 on the Raising Hell tour, and
See,
I was
like Sir
always
Mix-a-Lot. Love Sir Mix-a-Lot. My Hoopty, I used to just that whole tape I used to wear out.
I was a big fan of KRS-One back in the day.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
And they just don't make them like that late 80s into the mid 90s stuff. They just don't make like that anymore. All right.
No.
So we're going to get out of here. Joe, anything you want to plug? Anything you need to say?
Nope. Subscribe to Ryan. All the people on the screen. Don't worry about me.
Corey, what you got coming up?
I was just going to say thank you again, Ryan, for having us on. This was a blast. I know it probably went longer than you were thinking, but I had such a good time. And some people were commenting about having the smile on their face going through these, and I definitely did. This was a really good time, so I really appreciate it. The only thing I have really soon coming up is Thursday. I have a couple cool gentlemen coming on from Mom and Pop Video Shop. So got them coming on my channel to talk about their collecting and movies. And other than that, I'll just be bopping around. But I appreciate this. And I loved talking music. It was a nice change of pace.
Awesome. I'm glad that you agreed.
Yep.
What you got?
It was awesome talking music, honestly. Like we talk music, but it's cool to talk music with you guys as well.
And then the community also.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just chime in.
Yeah, so I got nothing to pimp on my. Follow him on Instagram. I got nothing to say.
I'm gonna do a couple more posts on there. I got some new records I just got in, so I'll post them up.
Cool.
Otherwise, fun time.
Oh yeah,
Right.
it was a blast.
Follow me on Instagram, Music with Ryan, RYON, and on YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing for this Wednesday's video. I've been kind of tied up trying to get this all together and all that, so I haven't made a video yet. Steelbook Monday, I just took a whole new round of pictures, so I got that still coming out. Fresh Friday Driving Jams, my Sunday Spin. You've seen Alanis Morissette tonight. I've had that album now for like a year and a half, and I finally got to play it. That's been it. I again appreciate everybody showing up in the comments, everybody that watched, everybody on this panel. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to end it here. Ryan, movies with Ryan. Until I see you again. Have a fantastic night. Let's see how long it takes for the stream to end after I hit the button. End stream. Everybody wave until it
Start
goes